I'm loving it. Good morning. How you guys doing? I think I'm on time today. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Bienvenido. I don't know. So a couple things. As you can see, the clock reset for some reason. What the heck? So now I'm going to have to find yesterday's time we left off at.
Defense attorney are now.
See if I can manually add it. The other thing is, I don't know if they've started today. Oh, they haven't. And we got to get some polls going because I've talked to a couple of different people about this. People have a lot of different mixed opinions about this, whether guilty, not guilty, hung jury. What would you go for? What would be your choice if you were on this jury? What I'm thinking we do this morning is I'll try to figure out this timer, see if I can add the time. I have some regular news that we can talk about, short news clips that we can talk about, and then we'll watch some more of the testimonies that we haven't seen. There's people in that chat, not guilty, guilty, not guilty, guilty. A lot of people tense. We left off at Ricky. You're gonna have to give me a moment. I gotta get this fixed. We left off at, let's see, 3:53:48. So let me see if I can enter that manually. Bum 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 bum. Open. Oh, I need the advanced settings. Good morning!
Thursday morning to you. I am Paul Bloom live in our Fox 9 streaming center. We are approaching 8:03 a.m. Thursday morning. You can see Judge Michael Waterman is on his bench. What we are waiting for is the jury. They are here to watch the cell phone video again. Let's take you out.
We are back on the record in state of Wisconsin versus Nicolae Miu. The attorneys are both sides of the attorneys are present. Mr. Miu is present. 12 jurors are present. When we left off yesterday, we were told that the jury wanted to view a portion of the Juwan Cockfield video again. Mr. Anderson, do you have it queued up?
Yes.
All right. And Mr. Strafasi, you or Mr. Nelson, you all consulted about the right spot to start from?
We did, Judge.
Perfect. Let's get up the monitor and then you can hit play.
You can take it down. I gotta reboot it.
Properties.
Okay.
Please stop. We don't have audio.
Let's see if I can add it. Give me 1 second, guys, while I figure this.
All right.
35. Just add time. Let's see if that works. Oh, save settings.
All right.
Who is that? For the culture! Who is that? Who the hell is this?
Go. It doesn't matter.
He said he was looking for little girls. He said he was looking for little girls.
You're looking for little girls?
Yeah.
That's exactly what he said.
Weirding us out. I even have that part on camera. Did I?
Some young ass kid.
What the hell is this guy's problem, bro? We trying to have fun. He's gonna claim you? He's gonna claim you. We don't want this motherfucker. That is on camera. That is on camera. He on camera. Oh God. Oh God, he on camera. Oh God, he on camera. Oh God, he on camera. What the fuck? Wait.
Does anybody need to see it again? Okay, I'm seeing no indications. Please take the jury out. Please continue your deliberations.
All rise for the jury.
All aboard. Still not doing what I wanted to do. This is weird. Start timer duration. Custom count up.
Please be seated. Is there anything else for the record while we're assembled?
No.
All right, that's all. We are in recess.
And good morning again from our Fox 9 streaming center. You are watching our live gavel-to-gavel coverage of the Apple River stabbing trial from Hudson, Wisconsin. The party's there in court for just a brief few minutes. What had happened late yesterday, the jury had asked the judge, the court, to re-watch the Jawan Cockfield cell phone video. They also asked to adjourn for the afternoon yesterday. Obviously a long day. They sat through closing arguments. So far 8 days of trial, so they'd asked to adjourn, but they did want to see that cell phone video. So what the court did is they sent the jury home and then began Thursday morning right there watching the Cockfield video. I would point out that that video runs about 3 minutes, 20 seconds in total, but this jury specifically wanted to watch the 10 seconds before the physical confrontation between Nicolae Miu and Madison Cohen on the river. That is the blonde woman, all of that witness testimony that came in, who pushed who first, who touched who. Madison Cohen is in Nicolae Miu's space, personal space. He alleges that she put hands on him. Obviously, we've heard the testimony from the Carlson brothers, others, the friends of Isaac Schumann, that Nicolae Miu clearly punched, slapped, struck, hit Madison Cohen, and that's what really ignited the physical altercation beyond the yelling and the mockery and the taunting, if you will. It was that physical confrontation between Nicolae Miu and Madison Cohen that ignited it, and clearly this jury is focusing in on what they want to watch. They don't want to see the entirety of it. They want to watch from 10 seconds before the encounter to right after the stabbings occur. With that, let me take a look at our graphic just so you know who is deliberating today. We began with a jury panel of 14 yesterday. You can see the judge sent home 2 male alternates. So we are now at a 6-6 gender dynamic on that jury, 6 and 6. 2 men sent home, one in their 40s, one in their 60s. I do, if you weren't with us yesterday, I want to point out what they're doing over in Wisconsin, a little different than what I'm familiar with here in Minnesota when it comes to alternate jurors at trial. But these alternates still remain on standby. They are at home or at work, but are not to be watching, us,
What's up,
not
guys?
to be watching the news, not to be connecting on social media.
All right. Good morning. Good morning. I think we're about right. Unless somebody has an exact time, I think we're around 4 hours. It was 3:50 something. Took me almost 10 minutes to figure it out. So, what is up? What's up, everybody? Good morning. A lot of different opinions on this story. And yesterday in the chat, it was kind of tense. It was a little tense. People were like kind of, a lot of back and forth. Even at some point, I think I said something to somebody in the chat here. And it was a little tense yesterday, and people felt very, and I thought, let me see where I can find this. I thought to lighten the mood, to remove some of the divisiveness and tension, to start off good this morning. I'll start out with something separate. Trump pulls up to Chick-fil-A in the hood and gets love. I went to Chick-fil-A yesterday. Let's see here.
This is Morehouse, this is Moore's Brown, and all that. So I don't care what the media tells you, Mr. Trump. We support you. We support you, Mike. Okay, 4 p.m. We do 4 p.m.
Come here, let me give you a
lighten the mood a little bit for the chat. Ease the tension.
That's really nice. No, we did.
Nice to see everybody. How you doing, Trump?
I'm doing good.
I love you, man.
Good. You look good.
I love you.
Yeah. You look straight. Nice to see you. Can I have 30 milkshakes?
And so apparently he bought 30 milkshakes for everybody at the restaurant. All right, the plan for today is I have a couple little news clips I said to myself this morning. Let's talk about some other stuff, and then we're going to get back to this story. I have a couple of... We're going to watch some witness testimony after the news stories. Just very brief. There's one here. There's another one too, actually. There's two similar solar eclipse stories of these, crazy people. Crazy people doing what they do. All right, this one first. There was this lady, a 34-year-old out of California, I guess, KTLA, that threw her two daughters out of a moving car on the freeway, killing an infant. She posted on X about the eclipse and a coming apocalypse just hours before her violent rampage. The LA murder unalive left the infant dead. Did she off herself? She threw the infant onto oncoming traffic, onto the freeway from a moving SUV. May have been showing signs of a manic frenzy related to the impending solar eclipse. An Australia influencer, Danielle Jakira Johnson, referred to the coming eclipse as the epitome of spiritual warfare. Epitome is what it is. Just days before the celestial event. In the hours leading up to the grisly violence, Johnson, who went by the moniker Ayoka with the handle Mystic Lipstick, posted, "Alert! This is the final warning. Turn notifications on or else," right? Make sure you like, subscribe, and turn, or else. Do not look at the eclipse. Something big is coming. Yeah. Is that her or somebody else posted that? Yeah, posted with the handle Mystic Lipstick. But this is somebody else, though. The Storm. The bizarre and ghastly sequence of events leading up to the April 8th murder unaliving began at the upscale Montecito Apartments on Verrill Avenue in Woodland Hills at 3:30 a.m. when, according to police, neighbors heard an argument between a man and a woman. Later that morning, a neighbor told KTLA that when she stepped out of her family's apartment, she saw blood everywhere. Her father called 911 and found Jaylene, the 29-year-old, dead from multiple stab wounds inside the apartment. According to investigators, Chaney and Johnson lived in the apartment with Johnson's two children, 8 months and 9 years old, and were involved in a verbal altercation that led to the fatal stabbing. Johnson then fled the scene with her two children. The 34-year-old mother crashed her SUV through the parking garage security gate at the apartment complex as she fled. At about 4:30 a.m., still hours before Chaney's body was discovered, the California Highway Patrol responded to the northbound 405 freeway in Culver City, where they found the infant dead on the roadway and the 9-year-old girl suffering from minor injuries. The dark SUV was observed driving on the 405 freeway when the two children were expelled from the vehicle. Then 5 a.m., investigators say Johnson died when her SUV slammed into a tree. Wow, went all out. She was going more than 100 miles per hour. Wow. So they're saying that she could have been suffering from bipolar disorder or postpartum depression and been in a manic frenzy. So the guy survived, I guess? The husband or whatever, whoever was in the house? Jenny and Johnson was in the apartment. So I don't know, did she stab up the guy or whatever? That's wild.
That really doesn't go along with the idea of her wanting to protect them.
And her 8-month-old baby. She has been identified as Danielle Johnson, who went by the name Danielle Ayoka online and was a controversial astrology influencer with tens of thousands of followers.
Yeah, we're also learning that she was worried about this week's solar eclipse, believing that the apocalypse was near. Sandra Mitchell joining us live in Woodland Hills outside the apartment where the suspect and the victims lived. Sandra?
Rick and Cher, we do now have a possible motive in the case. Investigators believe that the woman who pushed her 2 children out of the car on the freeway, stabbed her partner to death, was...
Oh, stabbed the guy to death?
Increased. A woman who pushed her 2 children out of the car on the freeway, stabbed her partner to death, was increasingly focused and afraid of this week's eclipse. And a psychiatrist that we spoke with tonight said that she actually might have been suffering from what she called a manic frenzy.
Wow. I didn't know there was such a thing. I know I've heard of manic and what's the other one? For bipolar people, they get manic and I don't know what else. Bipolar. They have manic episodes and maybe manic depressive episodes. They get real hyper and crazy, and then they get real, they slow down and get depressed, like major depression and stuff.
In the hours before the body,
they can if they're not medicated, but a lot of times, not all, but a lot of times they'll also go without taking their medication. Sometimes they even like that crazy high feeling.
Body of a man was found at this apartment complex in Woodland Hills, and 2 children were pushed from a car on the 405 freeway, killing one of them. A social media repost in all caps. Alert, this is the...
Oh, she reposted it. Okay.
Final warning, do not look at the eclipse. Turn notifications on. Something big is coming. Disturbing social media linked to the woman at the center of Monday's murder rampage. The suspect, Danielle Johnson, was known on X as Mystic X Lipstick.
I want to check out her Twitter. The world of Twitter. Mystic X Lipstick. Ayoka. Recording artist, astrologer, Reiki master teacher. Reiki. Anybody ever had Reiki done? I don't think I ever had it done, but I don't know that I really believe it. But I know. I guess it's a thing. They don't touch you. They just put their hands over you and do some type of energy or whatever. Got 100K followers. Wake up, the apocalypse is here. Everyone who has ears, listen. Your time to choose what you believe is now. If you believe a new world is possible for the people right now, there is power in choice. There's power in choice. Repost to make the... Look at this shit. 900-something people liked it. 2,800 people retweeted it. Maybe it's after the fact. We can do it. We can do it. We can do it. I'm almost afraid. I don't want to scroll too much on Twitter here because Twitter, they be posting all kinds of stuff in between posts now. They post like inappropriate. People be posting inappropriate stuff in the post to try to get promotion. Oh, U.S. intelligence officials warning of violence targeting mass gatherings days before millions gather to watch eclipse. FBI and Homeland Security are increasingly worried about threats from ISIS and lone wolves. See, I guess people that are suffering from mental health stuff, you know, and then you have all the stuff that's going on. And there is things going on, but also, I mean, these people get really crazy with it. You know, they can't sleep. You know, the end is coming.
As big a news as I've heard when it comes to a government admission to their response to all of this.
Never let the FDA practice medicine from Silver Spring, Maryland. What a disaster this was. The FDA has been wrong about so many things. Now it comes out in court. The FDA settles and concedes that they've deceived Americans on ivermectin intentionally. They worked to actually dissuade doctors, pharmacists, and patients from using ivermectin, a product that's safer than Tylenol. Over 100 supportive studies in using ivermectin to treat COVID.
Okay, we don't need to go down that rabbit hole again. But yeah, more Eclipse stuff. The Eclipse is the epitome of the spiritual warfare. Get your protection on and your heart in the right place. The world is very obviously changing right now. And if you ever needed to pick a side, the time to do it is right now. Pretty crazy stuff. Scary, man. Crazy how, like, I mean, I wonder if she showed signs. You know, like, I wonder if she showed. I dated bipolar people twice. And I appreciate that, Joe. I don't know if you're watching, but thank you. And both were roller coasters. You know, I won't speak ill of them or anything like that, but it was for sure a roller coaster, motherfucker, like crazy. Like, damn, bro. And you can look up forums. Again, I'm not trying to say all bipolar people are like this, and I know some people might take offense. Some people are taking care of their situation and whatever, so, you know. But you can read up forums about the insanity, scary shit, too, some people have to deal with.
An astrology influencer.
It's certainly possible that she was hearing voices. It's possible that she was seeing things.
Forensic psychiatrist Dr. Carol Lieberman says it is likely Johnson was suffering from bipolar disorder or postpartum depression and might have been in the midst of a manic frenzy.
As the eclipse was coming closer, that just brought these problems to a head so that people could have seen her just not making sense, making poor decisions, doing dangerous things.
3 days before her multi-city murder-suicide rampage, Johnson posted, "Wake up, wake up. The apocalypse is here." Dr. Lieberman says stabbing her partner in the heart, pushing her kids from a car, and killing herself by going 100 miles per hour.
There is a lot of that, too. Pigstripe says scaremongering, fear-mongering. That happens a lot. I mean, listen, there is a lot of stuff going on around the world, but I mean, you know, I think when I was younger too, I used to be afraid of like the end of the world. Not that I wouldn't be afraid if it came, but like I don't obsess about it. Like if it's gonna happen, that would suck, but it would happen. But I don't lose sleep over it. When I was younger, I sometimes used to be really afraid of it and like thinking about it, or even like when I was in Jehovah's Witness and when I was a kid and I used to be afraid of going to hell, even though they don't believe in hell, and I know a lot of people commented about that. When I was a kid, that's what I perceived. You know, you're Satanas, you're doing bad, the devil. I perceived it as I was going to hell. And so I when I was a kid, I couldn't really sleep sometimes. I'd be having nightmares about the devil. And so just fast forwarding now to like this situation and people that are dealing with this kind of stuff. And now we have technology. And your phone is like constantly bombarding you with bullshit all day long. Especially if you download one of those news apps or something, right? Like I remember the other day I kept saying like the the end of the world is near, or what possible way is the most possible way that we're gonna die, or crater misses Earth by whatever, or scientists predict this, and like constant bombardment that the end is near, the death is imminent, all this kind of shit all day long. So for some people, yeah, it could drive them nuts.
Or into a tree. These were not the actions of a woman trying to save her family.
What you would think of first is that this woman thought that the end times were coming with the eclipse, and so she wanted to protect her family from what horrors would come, and so she killed them. However, this is not how you would kill your family if you were trying to protect them. It was so brutal. That really doesn't go along with the idea of her wanting to protect them.
Johnson had 100,000 followers on X, but when I looked at the comments tonight, over the past few weeks, it appears that many people were increasingly concerned about her conspiracy theories and said they were unfollowing her. I'm
surprised, because from what I've seen online, maybe this is after the fact that now that she's dead, but these people ride with you into the sun. These people will ride off a bridge with you. They'll jump off a building with you. The more conspiracy shit. Yes. It's so true. Yeah. I'm surprised that people. I think maybe after her death, she killed her kid and stabbed the guy to death. Is when some of these people are like, you know what? Maybe something was wrong. Because from what I've seen, a lot of people online, they ride with that shit and they gas it up and encourage it and do all kinds of stuff. It's after the fact. They're like, oh yeah, I knew something was up. On to the next one. People take advantage of people's mental health with this conspiracy shit. All right. Another story, because right now we're just chilling, going through different stories. All right, we did the Trump to be a little funny. That's a little the icebreaker. The Chick-fil-A, the Lord's Chicken. There was this other story, and this is another Eclipse one. Here, let me see if I can show my screen. And by the way, I should do a poll. I don't know if you guys want to start the poll off with when do you think they'll get a verdict? This morning, afternoon? I don't know. What do they have here? This morning, this afternoon, Friday, Monday. Or if you want to start off with guilty, not guilty, hung jury. I don't know where you want to go. Okay, so this person here, another Eclipse story. A woman in Florida accused of going on a shooting spree and shooting random drivers on an interstate during Monday's total eclipse claims God told her to do it. According to Florida news outlet Wesh, the woman checked out of a Florida hotel and told the staff that she was going on a God direct shooting spree in relation to the eclipse. The Florida Highway Patrol announced that there was an active shooter on Florida's Interstate 10, 22-year-old Talon Nichelle Celestin, originally from Georgia, was later identified as the suspect who had entered the highway at the 112 mile marker while driving a purple Dodge Challenger. After entering Florida's Interstate 10, within the first 5 miles, the woman allegedly began firing into passing cars multiple times, causing broken glass to graze the driver in the arm. She fired a second vehicle, hitting the driver in the neck. Wow, that's more reasons why to carry a gun with you if you for whatever, if you know how to properly use one for protection, because these people are wild. What are they doing here? They're showing previous testimony.
He knows they're not a threat to him. They're mocking, saying cruel things, but not violence. You saw how awkward it was for Nicolae to try to explain this transition. From 0 fear to 10 out of 10 fear, he's got to take out his knife.
So they're showing Wednesday's, closing. Let's see the news thing here.
Multiple cars while traveling on Interstate 10 in North Florida. 22-year-old Talon Celestin is charged with attempted murder, aggravated battery, and improper discharge of a firearm during a shooting spree in Holmes County. The woman reportedly checked out of a hotel and told the staff that she was going on a shooting spree directed by God in relation to the solar eclipse. She then headed to Interstate 10 in a Dodge Challenger and within 5 miles fired multiple shots into 2 cars, hitting one driver in the neck. That driver was hospitalized and is currently receiving treatment. Authorities located her about 10 miles west of the second shooting near the Ponce de Leon exit. She was taken into custody and troopers reportedly recovered an assault rifle and a
assault rifle. Wani says, I'm going to rent my spot in a bunker.
Handgun from her car.
Yeah. I mean, if you haven't noticed, obviously times are getting crazy. People are just like nutty out there. And, if you, whether for yourself or if you have a family, you're seeing this shit and you're like, yo, I got to make sure I protect myself. You know what I'm saying? Because people are wild out. Let me show you something else. Now, let me see when is this from? I don't know what the date on this story is here. This is May 19th, 2023. So this is an old story, but I just saw it today. Check out this road rage incident I saw this morning.
You on southbound? literally rear-ended me while we're doing 100. Yes, correct, yes. Yes. I need to exit Calgary Trail. Yes. Yes, it is. Oh my God,
shit.
He just rear-ended us again.
What the fuck is this guy doing?
He literally just rear-ended us again. He's put your seatbelt on, bro.
Why are you not driving with your seatbelt?
Oh, oh my God, man. We're almost 111th Street. We're almost 111th Street.
It almost looked like DJ Vila to me in the driver's seat.
Yo, yeah, he's holding a fucking gun.
He literally pulled out a gun on us, man.
He's fucking pointing that shit, bro.
He's behind us, man. He is behind us.
What the fuck?
111th Street. On that Hendig.
This is wild. Pretty crazy.
Oh, man.
Well, this guy's going fucking crazy.
Luckily, I got past some cars, but he's behind us. He's stuck in traffic behind us now. But like, whoa, man. What the fuck, man? Where did this guy come from?
What the? I don't... Nah, he's coming. He's fucking coming.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's back.
He's back?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't see
He's
him.
coming in hot. He's right fucking... He's dead behind us, bro.
There's another highway patrol officer there.
Isn't that crazy? So let me give you some of the details to that story. It was linked under there. And this is, again, why I'm saying, you know, I'm not advocating for, like, you know, guns and stuff, but I just feel like it's almost to the point where you have no choice to at least protect yourself, because shit's just so freaking wild, dude. You could just be out with your family and your kids. You know, like, yeah, especially as the protector of the family, you have no choice. Terrifying road rage. Video shows truck ramming a random car on the highway. So this is from May 2023. I just thought it was interesting to go over it, though. At first, Canada doesn't seem like the kind of country that would be grounds for wild road rage. However, the police department in Edmonton, Alberta, had the work cut out for them. I wonder if there's more.
Going south.
No, that's the whole video. Okay. So, part of the incident was caught on video by Naeem Issa and his nephew while they were the targets of the perpetrator's Grand Theft Auto level crime spree. In the video taken inside their car, Issa is seen being chased by a red Dodge Ram truck while attempting to flee the highway. Eventually, the driver of the truck pulls a gun out on the pair, causing them to outrun the truck, I guess 106 miles an hour, before leading it past the highway patrol officer. According to Issa, they were able to make it off the highway, but the red truck was still pursuing them. Thankfully, the patrol officer arrived in time, causing the truck to take off. While the ordeal was over for Issa and his nephew, it wasn't over for the driver of the red truck. After fleeing the police cruiser, the unnamed man crashed into the yard of a nearby condo building. The evening before, police say that they responded to reports of a white Ram truck intentionally ramming into other vehicles in a separate location. The driver of the truck was involved in a series of armed carjackings that evening. When police arrived, the suspect was engaged in a standoff with the responding officers. After one officer had discharged his weapon, the driver immediately fled the scene, only to be involved in another violent carjacking not too far away. Police determined that the driver involved in the road rage incident was the same suspect as the prior evening when he was taken into custody. Edmonton police said he had 17 outstanding warrants for his arrest. Holy moly. All right, let's check out a little bit of these guys.
What he did, what didn't you like about what we did? And that also allowed us to talk to them sometimes about how they chose to deliberate. Almost always lawyers level, even a friendly bet between the lawyers about who's going to be the foreperson, because that could carry the day a lot. So when we're picking our jury in the very beginning, a lot of times we're trying to decide who's going to be the foreperson, because they can drive this case one way or the other. We kind of will take a broad brush on a lot of people that say they're just nice, open-minded people who will go either way. They're not going to be strongly opinionated, or maybe they're not real strong personalities. They're not leader types. So we try to predict who we think might be our foreperson. A lot of times the way the jurors will structure this, they go back in, they have a mountain of evidence, and they can do it any way they want. They don't have to do any of this. But my experience over 40-some years has been the jurors will go back, You might even make a list on a whiteboard about what do we have here? List of photographs, list of documents, list of recordings. They might make a whole list of that. They might make a list of the key elements, the jury instructions, the jigs, about what are the key things that have to be proved here. And they'll put those up on the board, and they can go around and do that. As you know, they're encouraged not to make a quick decision. Don't take a vote in the first 5 minutes and walk back in. So that can just take time. Between all of that, and you want to give every person the right to say what they want to say and argue back and forth. And sometimes it comes down to a spokesperson for both kind of sides of a issue, or a conviction or not conviction, and you'll have a voice on two sides. So it might not be 5 against 7. It might be one-on-one, arguing, and everybody else is just listening.
I'm just curious. I know I do it on the rare trial. I mean, it has to be the highest of profile that I sit in for the jury selection process. But we sit in there and try to guess who the potential jury foreperson is. How often are you right?
Actually, not that. Maybe better be lucky than good, maybe. But fair amount of times, and sometimes it's oh crap, it is the one I thought it was going to be, and now we're in trouble. So I jokingly say, and this is true, I have won trials in 5 minutes, and I have lost trials in 5 minutes.
Oh, so this,
they don't even have time to go back.
This is another story. This is, I guess, deemed controversial, and I saw a clip of this the other day. About this traffic stop. Newly released body camera reveals the mayhem that unfolded in a residential neighborhood when Chicago police fired as many as 96 bullets towards a man during a traffic stop, killing the 26-year-old and raising questions about whether officers used excessive force. While a preliminary investigation suggests the driver opened fire on officers first, his family and attorneys question why plain-clothed officers swarmed Dexter Reed's car with guns drawn. That's the part where we'll take a look at the video. I mean, they should announce who they are, right? I mean, because the thing, like, when you're these undercover cops with no kind of, like, I don't know if they have badges. There's people that pretend to be cops. Let's take a look at this video and see. Can we show this? I think we can. Let me see. Yeah, you can't really see directly. Okay, let's check it out. This is controversial. First, let me show you the mother. I actually would like to find the full clip of this. Honestly, this could be a whole live stream, a different live stream in itself, but we'll talk about it.
He had just bought his new car 3 days before that, and he was just riding around in his car. He said, "Mom, I'm going for a ride," and they killed him. They killed him.
So I'd like to see the whole press conference. This caption on Twitter said he was just riding around. He fired 11 shots at police. Your son was a violent criminal and found out. Now, I don't know the details behind this. That's why I want to show this other video. Let's take a look at this one and see what the deal is. Was there a reason for this, you know? Of course it disappears. Perfect. Okay, here it is. All right, let's see. Give it a second to load up. Oh, maybe I should just put it in the other one. Let's do the other browser.
This morning, independent investigators in Chicago reviewing evidence to determine how a traffic stop turned deadly. Newly released Chicago police body camera video capturing the incident that ended with officers firing a barrage of bullets, killing 26-year-old Dexter Reed.
Don't roll the window up. Don't roll the window up.
All unfolding just after 6.
Well, they do have police. Let's see the beginning again.
This morning, independent investigators in Chicago reviewing evidence to determine how a traffic stop turned deadly.
Did shoot first, yeah.
Newly released Chicago police body camera video capturing the incident that ended with officers firing a barrage of bullets, killing 26-year-old Dexter Reed.
Don't roll the window up. Don't roll the window up.
All unfolding just after 6 p.m. March 21st. Reed in the driver's seat of his white SUV, surrounded by 5 plainclothes tactical officers, guns drawn, who initially pulled him over for not wearing a seatbelt.
Unlock the doors now.
In the video, Reed appears to ignore.
They really just pulled him over for not wearing a seatbelt, all those cops? The problem with him rolling up the window is that, for the exact same reason that just happened now, you don't know what the person is doing behind that closed window. You know, he could be grabbing a gun, could be pulling up a gun, whatever.
Ignore commands.
Open the door now.
That's when Reed, investigators say, fired at officers first, striking this officer in the wrist. The officers immediately return fire, 4 officers unloading 96 rounds in 41 seconds. During the gunfire, Reed exits the vehicle and falls to the ground and appears to be shot again multiple times.
While 96 rounds being fired by 4 officers seems like a lot, if the officers still perceived the suspect as a threat, the officers would be justified in continuing to fire.
And that part that he just said there, I learned with like Florida law. I believe that's true too. The guy that got me my concealed, as long as you perceive that there's a threat, there's not like okay, I'm only allowed to shoot twice. You know, like that is a lot of shots. But what he's saying here legally, as far as how many shots,
the suspect as a threat, the officers would be justified in continuing to fire.
The officers involved now on administrative leave. Reed, at the time of the incident, was facing charges for allegedly carrying a gun into a street festival.
And Reed's family is demanding the officers involved be charged. In a statement, the police union argues the officers' actions were, quote, completely legal. Alex Perez, ABC News,
that's what I'm saying.
Chicago.
Legally, they might actually be fine, I guess. I'm curious about, I mean, the whole thing of like being stopped for a seatbelt, though, for not wearing a seatbelt with all those cops, that's a little excessive. They're kind of crazy, but I mean, I just wonder, were they following him? Was there more to it than just that? If he was supposed to get pulled over for a traffic stop, why did they have 4 guns pointed at him? He was scared, and after he was already on the ground, they still put him in cuffs instead of checking if he's breathing. Oh, let's see if I can find that press conference. Yeah, the family presser.
Yum, chicken parm with our Purdue.
Oh boy.
Purdue chicken. No antibiotics ever. And is that homemade marinade?
That's cool. They won't even let me mute it. Every time I try to mute it, it opens up the chicken website. Put it over here. Let's see if they got it's got to be somewhere. Reed, sister, Portia Banks. All right, I think this is it. But this is only 1 minute. That's not the whole thing.
Right now, outside of a Chicago police station to show their support for Reed's family. Also to call for those officers involved to be fired. NBC5's Natalie Martinez live tonight at the 11th District Station in Homan Square to show us what's going on right now. Natalie?
Yeah, and Stefan, the significance of the 11th District, of course, is that this is where those tactical officers who were involved in this shooting are based. So
they actually released, I see the full body cam here, actually, that they released. I don't know if it's too graphic or not. Excuse me. It's true that he is on the ground after let's see. He's on the ground, I think deceased.
Hey, dude. Let go of the gun. Let go of the gun. Let go of the gun.
Oh, he still had the gun on his hand.
I got the gun. Okay, we got 30 to 5. Yes, we have an officer shot in the car. 04 hours. We have any information on
All right, I'll save this link. I'd have to research that. I don't know if we can watch all that, how graphic it is. And I wanted the press conference. Okay. Here it is. I found the press conference. Okay. Carly says, keep in mind in Chicago, multiple units show up to traffic stops. Probably because the violence out there in Chicago. It's a war zone in Chirac. Yeah.
And for him to give them this kind of power to go out and do when he knows nothing, absolutely nothing about these men, you know. So in my opinion, and it's not even my opinion, it is what it is. What you're saying is you believe more in you having to prove that you are on the side of your officers and all this.
Oh, that's from 2019. I wonder if that's the same family. Is that a different incident? It's 2019. All right, look again. Chirac, yeah. He already shot a cop. Christ's sake. They're going to react to it. Yeah, I mean, the winding the window up thing is a big, like, I think probably flag, especially intended for cops, because then now it's like, we don't know if you're really pulling up a gun or automatic, you know, like. I don't know if that family's going to try to sue the police department. They're probably going to have a hard time with that one, honestly. Tell the 11th District that the public execution of our community members will not be tolerated. Press conference April 9th, 6 p.m. Hold CPD accountable, disband TAC teams, fire killer cops, end racial profiling. That was a post I saw on Facebook. I wonder if people have actually watched that body cam, people that are talking about this. I think they'd probably have a hard time with a lawsuit. Maybe. I don't know. The burden is less, but all right, so let's switch it up. I think let's see here. I think I covered all the little tidbits that I wanted to cover, I think. I was thinking we should check out some testimony of the friends that we haven't watched. That was the people that have been watching the trial. Oh, actually, I want to watch this guy, this kid. Day 2. Let's see. Sure, I want to watch that kid. Hey Sarah, how you doing? Thank you for the 20. Appreciate that. Says love it, Mel. I literally just started delving into the Apple River trial yesterday. I'm honestly not sure what to think. What is everyone saying? Self-defense or no? Sarah, there is a whole bunch of mixed opinions on it. From what I've seen, I feel like ooh, okay. From what I've seen, to me, this guy, the perpetrator, he lied to investigators about what happened, and during an interrogation, he lied. I feel like also the kids are somewhat lying as well. The witness testimony. I feel like the way the trial has been, and because it's so questionable, I feel like it should be probably found not guilty. Because it just even the fact that, like, we're not sure, we're questioning and not really sure of what happened before the camera rolling, and you know the story from the prosecution saying that he hit, was it Madison, but then the defense is saying he didn't hit her. Like, I think they saying he put his hand up. And all I see on that video, what I see on that video, when I watch the video, if I leave everything else out and I watch the video, to me, it looks like bullies picking on an elderly man. You know, the bad thing for this guy is the way when he approached them. I don't understand what he was doing. He approached them. Let's see if I find the video. I have it saved. When he approached them, and, you know, the defense claims that he tripped. And that's why, like, he briefly grabbed the tube or, like, touched their hands or something like that, right? Not their hands, their legs or something. Let me show it real quick here.
What is he on? Whoa!
This part here.
Whoa!
That part gets me a little bit like, why were you running towards them? Type of thing.
What is he on? Whoa!
Grab it.
Oh, God!
That part I don't understand. They claim that he tripped. That's why I feel like we're missing a lot of the beginning to this. I know this encounter didn't just start like this, but
what is he on? Whoa! What's the way? Oh, God! We up! What are you talking about? What the hell are you talking about?
Goat's head fool said, Mel, are lesser charges on the table or did the prosecution swing for the fences? I'm laughing at Miu's are you calling me old, Mel? So there is lesser charges. So, see, my opinion, which I know a lot of people might not agree, I feel like the chat's pretty divided, maybe half and half or so. I feel like it's a really tough one for me. I almost feel like it should be not guilty, but I feel like the verdict, they're going to go for the lesser charge. I feel like there's no way they can say he intentionally. I mean, people could argue that. I don't think you can prove that he wanted these people to die. I mean, you could argue, well, why did he swing at like 5 people like on some fucking apocalyptic survival shit, just like slicing people's guts open. You know, a friend of mine messaged me. I'm not gonna say her name, but like this was just like private conversation, you know. But she was asking me my thoughts, and I told her my thoughts, and so she was like, you know, she felt conflicted, but she said basically, F those kids, not the one that's deceased, but full of isht. I was disgusted watching what they were doing to him. They think it's okay to act and treat people like that. I'd be ashamed and embarrassed if I were their parents. See, my thing is too, like, it's so all over the place because, like I said too, what could be hurting the kid. First of all, some of the testimonies that I saw, I feel like those kids weren't being upfront. I feel like they were being deceptive. One was even caught lying. I believe he was caught lying on the stand. He gave 2 different versions of the story, but I have to watch the other ones. But the thing that's going on against these kids is like they really do look like bullies to me if you're just watching the video. If you pass this part, I don't know why this guy engaged him like this. This is weird. That's an L on him for that. I don't know what happened there. But then he does look like he's looking for something. And these kids start, you know, shove him into the water, slap him, degrade him, punch him, call him a pedo and a rapist, all this type of stuff. And I really feel like, I don't know who it was, if it was the camera guy, he's like agitating the shit so that other people get involved. And these other people that got involved, I don't think they really knew what was going on. All they hear is like, oh, he's looking for girls and he's a rapist or whatever. So like all these people are agitated and they jump in. And I think that people in society can somewhat relate. One, people don't like bullies. People are tired of bullies. People are tired of being pushed in society. Regular people that are just going about their day. I don't know if that's this guy. I don't think this guy's ever had any kind of previous criminal history. And people are tired of being pushed and shoved, you know? But these are young kids too. I honestly, I've said this multiple times on my channel, multiple times. Kids are freaking wild, man. I mean, these are almost grown up. You know, I guess they're 17, 18, you know. They were underage drinking, you know. What's up with that? Like, who gave them the drinks for that, right? We should go find those people too and charge them, right? Who gave them the drinks? But I feel like kids are just wild. I mean, adults are too. It's just, I don't know. And Mo sent me an interesting text, and I do think that's what happened here to the mob mentality. When there's a group of people, you're like, your individuality for some people seems to go, and you're all just in this. I feel like there's been killings that have happened like that, right? Groups of people like start. I'm trying to remember the one story, like these girls that killed somebody. And it was like a group thing. I think one of them didn't even want to do it, but just they're all doing it. So they're just like become like in this like I don't know, hypnotic or like some type of, you know, some type of state of like the mob mentality type of thing. All right, Mo sent me this. I find it very interesting. I'm not trying to put you on blast, but I think it's an interesting, good point. I find it very interesting how a lot of the same people screaming arm yourself are the same people screaming guilty on self-defense cases. Just saying an observation. I mean, it's true. You could really, really get yourself into a situation if you're not in control of your emotions, or if you're out and about drinking, which you shouldn't have a firearm anyway, but it happens all the time, I guess. You can really find yourself in a situation where you overreact and you kill somebody, you know? I mean, it's just so much more different when you're carrying than you're not carrying, how maybe you would handle a situation in public. And you can find yourself in a really, really messed up situation. Or what if you hurt and kill somebody that wasn't even involved, trying to defend yourself, you know? This is the kind of shit you have to go through. It's a big responsibility. I know some people, a lot of people probably don't see it like that, but when you start seeing these cases and you start seeing some of the law, you can really find yourself into some shit when you're sitting in court and you got to be judged by your peer, you know, your jury. And you can totally get effed. Your whole life can be screwed, or you could be out thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, you know. And forever, this is attached to your name. But, I mean, if you come out on top and win the case, maybe you'll be okay. Maybe you'll be all right. Christine, that's what I get it at too. Christine says, disrespectful, out of control, entitled brats. That's what I feel like when I watch that video. And I can't trust what those kids are saying on the stand. But also the Nicolae, you know, he's a liar too. Nicolae. I feel like his chances would have been way better. Of course, this is us in 2020 hindsight. His chances would have been way better had he like called the police and be like, "Yo." I remember that concealed guy too. He told me you got to be really careful what you say when you call these people. You know, so I don't remember what he told me, but like, you know, I was in fear for my life. I had to defend myself. I think somebody's hurt. Like, you know, you should call not like. I get distancing yourself from the scene because who knows if somebody's going to retaliate, they're going to kill you, whatever. I get distancing yourself, but then maybe calling 911 and be like, this is what happened. And, you know, he didn't call 911. I think his party did. And he also chucked the knife almost as if to conceal it, in my opinion, seems like, to hide the weapon. And then when the cops pulled him into the car to, like, arrest him, he's, you know, oh, there was a fight? What fight are you talking about? Or maybe they hurt themselves, that type of stuff. And then the interrogation, which I missed yesterday, lying. That's the shit for me that like gets me with him. That's why I'm like so conflicted. If he was just straight up, this is what happened, it would look so much better for him in this trial. It would. Now, I really wonder that jury, what kind of questions they're having back there deliberating. I remember when I was on jury duty, there was one lady that disagreed with like the rest of us. And I think she wanted to let the guy go free, but we felt that there was enough evidence and proof to charge this guy with DUI. I don't know where that is going. And so we did that, but because of that lady, it took us a while. We almost gave up. It was about to be a hung jury. We came out to the judge and we're like, listen, we can't come to a conclusion. We can't all agree. And the judge made us go back. And he was like, try again. Like, please just go back, try again. And so we all went back and we figured it out, But so, I mean, all it takes is one person or even a couple of people. No way. Crochet and Knitting Fun says he has killed before. I have never heard of that. TT Cross, thank you for the 13-month membership. Says thank you for your DML. Can we watch other testimony, please? Yeah, let's do that. This is one of the friends, I think.
Please have a seat in the witness chair. Judge Piper. Thank you. Mr. Smestad.
State your name for the record, please. Spell your last name.
My name is Alex Vang, V-A-N-G.
How old are you, Alex?
I'm 19 years old.
Do you go to school? Do you work?
I'm a student at St. John's University.
What are you studying?
Global Business Leadership.
What year are you at St. John's?
I'm a first year.
Were you familiar with a person named Isaac Schumann?
I was.
How did you know him?
He's my best friend.
How many years were you best friends with Isaac?
7th grade, I first met him.
Were you with Isaac Schumann on July 30th of 2022?
Yes, I was.
Were you part of a group of your friends that tubed down the Apple River near Somerset, Wisconsin?
Yes.
Were you with Isaac when he was stabbed and killed that day?
Yes, I was.
It's my understanding from other testimony that you were the driver. You drove everybody to the river?
Correct.
Did you rent tubes at River's Edge?
Yep.
Do you remember if you got a receipt for the tubes?
I'm here, guys. I'm eating. I'm watching.
I don't think so, no.
You remember what time you got on the river?
Estimate maybe around 1:30.
Was your group together in the tubes?
Yes.
Were your tubes connected together?
Yes.
What's the plan to float down to Village Park in Somerset?
If that's at the end, yes.
Do you have plans for a return trip back to River's Edge?
Say again?
Did you have plans on how to get back from Village Park up to River's Edge?
Yeah, we were probably gonna find a ride.
While you were tubing in the river, you were drinking alcohol?
Yes, I was.
What kind of alcohol did you have?
Just some beers, some Michelob Goldens, maybe some the like ultras or something, whatever they're called.
Did you have any hard liquor?
I did not.
Do you know if anybody in your group was drinking hard liquor?
I don't recall.
Did you use any other drugs that day?
Yeah, I smoked some weed.
All right. By weed, you mean marijuana?
Yes, please. Or yes.
All right. As you were floating down the river, Did you eventually have contact with the defendant, Mr. Miu?
Yes, I did.
All right. Do you know whereabouts you were in the river when you first saw him?
I don't recall. I just know we were a little bit a ways from a bridge.
Had you been on the river before?
I have.
How many times?
Just the year previous.
When you first saw Mr. Miu, what was he doing?
He was just looking in the water with some snorkeling gear.
Right. Did you ask him what he was doing?
I did.
What did you say?
He said, you're snorkeling in some pretty short water, like, what are you looking for?
And how did he answer?
He said something along the lines of, he responded with looking for little girls or something like that.
All right. Are you aware that, we'll strike that. Did you record any part of your interaction with?
I did not.
Now let me finish my question.
I'm sorry.
Is this your first time testifying?
It is.
Are you a little nervous?
Yes.
All right. Did you yourself record any part of the incident on the river?
No, I did not.
All right. Are you aware that somebody else in your group was?
Yes.
Who was that?
Jawan Cockfield.
Have you had a chance to review that video?
Yep, I've watched it once.
And did you see yourself in the video?
Yes.
At the time that you asked Mr. Miu what he was doing and he responded like that, is any of that on the video?
No.
At some point, did Mr. Miu run up on your group?
He did.
That caused you concern?
Yes, I was very scared.
Did you bail out of your tube?
I did.
What did he do when he ran up?
From what I remember, he ran up to us and grabbed our tubes and stopped us from carrying on.
All right, were you floating at that time?
Yes, we were.
Did he stop you from floating?
Yes.
I'm going to show you a still frame from the video. 0156. Or do you put it on the screen? Alex, I'm showing you frame 0156 of Jawan's video. Are you in that picture?
That's me, yes.
Does this describe when this picture was taken? I mean, what's going on when you're in the water there?
This must have been when he was running towards our tubes and was just about grabbing our tubes, and I was just I was off the tubes at that moment.
Whose leg is in the foreground of the picture?
I'd assume at the very bottom that's Jawan's.
All right. At that point, had you separated yourself away from your raft of tubes?
Yes, I did.
Why?
I was concerned for my safety. I didn't know what his intentions were running up on our tubes.
All right. Is it fair to say that prior to him running up, Jawan called him some names?
Yes.
All right. Were you involved in calling him any names before he ran?
So prior to him running up, so that there obviously there was interaction before the video. That's the part that's missing from that video, obviously, which is kind of important, you know.
Up on the group.
Yes.
Do you know whether he was alone or with the group?
From what I saw, he was just by himself.
Did he have a tube?
No, not that I saw.
When he ran up on you, were you able to see whether he had anything in his pocket?
No.
At any point during this interaction with him, did you know he had a knife?
No.
Did you know Mr. Miu at all?
I did not.
Do you remember how long you'd been on the river by the time you had this run-in with him?
I'd estimate maybe an hour, hour and a half.
When he ran up and grabbed onto your raft of tubes, did he say anything that you heard?
I don't recall.
Did he I know from the still we just looked at that you had gotten off your tube. Did he make any physical contact with you at all?
Not me, no.
At any time during this incident, did he ever have any physical contact with you?
No.
As he's grabbing onto your tubes, did you say anything to him?
I don't recall.
Did you threaten him in any fashion?
No.
Did you tell him he had 10 seconds to leave or anything like that?
No.
You did call him some names?
Yes, I did.
What kind of names did you call him?
Pedophile, predator.
Maybe a dumb question, but you don't seem to be proud of that?
No, sir.
Do you agree that?
Why are you not proud of that? If you said what you say you heard, that he was looking for little girls, why would you not be proud of that? Then why would there be any shame? Unless it's a lie. You're literally saying that you heard him say he was looking for little girls, and then now you're saying you feel ashamed for calling him that?
No. Pedophile, predator.
Why? Why feel shame if that's what you heard? It makes no sense to me.
Dumb question, but you don't seem to be proud of that?
No, sir.
Do you agree that you boys probably weren't very kind to him?
Yeah, I agree.
In the context of what happened, though, did you know what his intentions were?
No.
Eventually, did you and your friends start yelling at him to get away?
Yes, we did.
Were you using raised voices?
Yes.
You've seen that all on the video?
Yes.
At some point, did other folks come over to see what was going on?
They did.
You recall who was or can you describe the first person that showed up to?
The first person I saw come up was maybe a small white lady.
All right. What did she do?
She pretty much just confronted him face to face, saying to leave these kids alone. You could leave right now. Just leave these guys alone.
Did she swear at him?
I don't recall.
All right. Did she have dark hair or blonde hair?
I don't recall, but my best estimate would be blonde.
Right. At some point, did you see two women from another group confronting him?
Yeah.
And what was the other woman doing, the second woman?
From what I remember, she was just next to the other lady. I don't recall what she was really doing.
Right. Did you hear her tell him to leave at all?
A lot of people were telling him to leave.
Right. Including you?
Yes.
At some point, as you reviewed the video, do you realize you guys are laughing at him?
Yes.
Why was that, if you know?
He felt like it was kind of those situations where, like, we like caught someone doing something wrong, and it's something like that.
Did you think that he was getting in trouble from this other group?
Yes, I was thinking that he was finally about to leave and stop all the commotion that's going on.
Were you feeling relieved?
Objection. Sustained.
Say again.
I'm sorry. There's an objection. I have to rule. Sustained means don't answer.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So
next question.
Is Mr. Miu talking to the two women that are, were they standing in front of him, behind him? Where were they?
The two women?
Yes.
They're in front of him.
Did you ever hear him say, get out of my way, let me go?
I did not.
Did you ever hear him call out for help?
No.
Did you and your group of friends surround him? And by that I mean encircle him?
I'm going to object. I'm going to ask him to let him answer the question.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that all.
I'm going to let him answer the question. He was trying to answer the question and he was interrupted.
Well, it's his witness. I'll let him interrupt his own witness.
Did you encircle Mr. Miu before any of the fight started?
I wouldn't say circle. I would say we were standing near to him. We weren't, yeah.
All right. If we can go to slide 2593. turn it on. All right, Alex, I'm showing you a still frame 2593 from Jawan's video. Is this what you saw when you described the two women standing in front of him?
Correct.
Were any of your friends behind him?
No.
In relation to this picture, where was your group of friends located?
I would say maybe to the back and to the left.
All right. Were you within arm's reach of him?
From this picture, no, I wasn't.
Was anybody else in your group at this point within arm's reach of him?
No.
All right, so as he's being scolded by these women, what did you see Mr. Miu do?
Say again?
What did he do? Once this frame is up, once these women are standing in front of him, did you see him do something?
Yeah, from what I remember, these two women were confronting him, and he decided to punch one of the ladies, which I remember being the blonde one, right in the face.
You saw him do that?
Yeah.
Did you know that lady at all?
No, I did not.
Did you ever met her before in your life?
So he's a part of the other group, and he said
From what I remember, these two women were confronting him, and he decided to punch one of the ladies, which I remember being the blonde one, right in the face.
You saw him do that?
Yeah.
Did you know that lady at all?
No, I did not.
Did you ever met her before in your life?
No, I did not.
Did you even talk to her on the river?
No.
She was a complete stranger to you?
Complete stranger? Yes.
What part of her body did he punch?
The face.
Do you remember, and I know this was 2 years ago, but do you remember which hand he used?
The right hand.
At that point, do you know whether he used a closed fist or an open hand?
I don't recall, but I know he struck her in the face.
All right. And how did she react bodily?
Well, I mean, a lot happened when that first happened, but from what I remember, she reacted how anyone else would react to getting hit in the face, is maybe holding the part where she got hit.
Did she go down?
I don't recall.
So if that were true, that would change things for sure, I think.
After Mr. Miu punched the blonde lady in the face, did her friends react?
They did.
What happened?
Well, after he punched her in the face, their friends hopped on him, trying to pretty much retaliate from him hitting her in the face.
Was Mr. Miu likewise struck in the face? If you saw?
I don't recall. I knew he was getting hit.
Did you see him go down?
Yes, I did.
At any time while this fight had started, did you see him holding the knife in his hand at all?
No.
Did he eventually get back up?
Yes, he did.
At that point, did you notice that there were some folks that were injured?
I'd say within 5 seconds, I realized that there were people stabbed.
All right. Do you remember who the first person was that you saw stabbed?
I saw the blonde white lady get stabbed first.
Harley Ryder says Maddie said he punched her left cheek with his left hand. Wow. So her testimony, because I heard that she didn't come on video. Was there audio of it? Did we actually get to hear anything of it, or it just wasn't broadcast? It was like a private testimony.
Not the same one who got punched, or the same one that got punched?
I don't recall. I just do remember seeing a blonde white lady stabbed first. I can't tell you if it was the same one, but
okay. We're gonna look at a still frame here. Still 2944. As you had watched the video and saw yourself laughing, at some point, was there a point in the video where your expression changes?
Yes.
All right, we're going to show a sequence of slides. Start at 29:15. All right, Alex, this is slide 29:15 from the video. Do you see yourself in that video?
Yes, I do.
Is that you in the back center?
Yep.
You're looking off to your right?
Yes.
The gentleman object. Pleading.
Riley Madison.
Riley Madison, RYH.
She does testify. Is that the one is that the one claiming she got punched?
Kind of question, actually.
Okay. Which direction are you looking?
From where I'm, from my point of view to my right, or a bit, pretty much like around like this direction.
And we're gonna go through it here.
Was that the one that was punched? Or no? Okay, that's the one. She was cut. Okay.
Brother, go back. All right, we're looking at slide 2944. Do you see yourself in that?
I'll watch that at some point too. I want to know the other girl that punched her.
What's the expression on your face?
Completely shocked.
What had you seen at that point that made you have that expression on your face?
I'd seen a stab wound.
Star witness that we never saw or heard. Why? This should have made no sense.
Seen or heard could be the person who didn't. A witness in the Apple River stabbings case who didn't want her testimony seen or heard could be the person who tips the scales. Madison Cohen's altercation with defendant Nicolae Miu is what sparked the incident that turned deadly. Now, Cohen says that she confronted the defendant after she saw a group of teenagers yelling at him. Body cam video of the aftermath is the only glimpse we see of her. Take a look.
He punched me in the face. I don't know what the got someone who can't move. Go help him. Please. We're going to help. We got a gentleman down there. His guts are out in the open. Okay.
Share it again if you like. Cohen's testimony led hit you with clothes.
Sorry. Oh my God, I can't touch anything.
Could be the person who tips the confronter.
He punched me in the face. I don't know what the got someone who
He punched me.
He punched me in the face. I don't know what the got someone who can't move. Go help him. Please.
Medley says she's a victim. She didn't want to be on camera. She has the right because she's a victim. You need to get the transcripts. I mean, it's not like she was stabbed, right? Everybody else, people that got stabbed, the guy that had his guts pulled out of his stomach. But I guess you testified, but I guess you're saying she has that right. It's just odd to me. Why not? I don't know.
We're going to help. We got a gentleman down there. His guts are out in the open. Okay.
A transcript of Cohen's testimony lays out what
she's still holding her beer too. Is it?
Got a gentleman. Can't move. Go help him. Please. We're going to help. I don't know what.
Hey, she got that beer in hand.
He punched me in the face. I don't know what the got someone who can't move. Go help him. Please. We're going to help. We got a gentleman down there. His guts are out in the open. Okay.
a transcript of Cohen's testimony lays out what she says about who threw the first blow. So on direct, she said, "He strikes me in my left side of my face with his left hand."
So the other witnesses, haven't the other witnesses said it was his right hand? I thought the other witnesses said that she struck him with his right hand on the right side of the face. But that would be the left side, wouldn't it? Well, it depends. We're facing opposite to each other, so if I'm punching with my right hand to your face, that's going to be hitting the left side of your face. How do you? Yeah. So how the fuck do you hit somebody with? Unless you go like this. You know what I'm saying? If you're across from, if we're opposite of each other, and I swing my left hand to hit your face, that's gonna be hitting the right side of your face, I believe. Right? I might have that wrong. I don't know. Because I'm thinking you would have to go like this, like come around and bring it back. Anyway, there's definitely between the other witnesses and her some type of whatever about the face hitting. I mean, this is one of the biggest things here. This is, to me, the prosecution and these people that were there are saying caused the whole thing. The reason they attacked him is because he punched her in the face, I believe. JB said her head could have been turned. That's possible. Maybe her head was turned. Southpaw shit. Matrix punch.
And the question is, did he hit you with a closed fist or an open hand? She said, I can't remember. I thought it was with a closed fist. And the question is, you don't remember like seeing it coming in though? And she said, everything happened so fast. Then later on cross-exam, the question is, okay, so he throws it with his left. He throws a hook with his left hand. Is that right? She said, yes. And he said, and I think you testified that he hit your left side of your face. She said, yes. Question is, okay, so he hit you on this side. Describe how that's humanly possible.
Okay, all right. It's not that crazy, right? What I'm saying.
Answer. I actually do get my lefts and my rights mixed up a little bit.
Maybe should mix it up.
Okay, is that going to be a problem? Let's bring in our guest and talk some more about this. Criminal defense attorney and former elected district attorney Matthew Mangino. Oh, Matthew, what'd you think when you hear that?
Well, that doesn't sound good. It's not a good look. You obviously can't get hit on the left side of your face with a left hook. Now, she tries to explain it away by getting my rights and my lefts mixed up, but I would have made her demonstrate how this happened.
Right.
So if she throws with her left, obviously she's going to realize that you can't get hit on the left side of your face. So she may have explained it a little better. I don't know if there was a demonstration of that blow or not, but that certainly would have helped clear it up for the jury. If she was just testifying and she says, I got hit on the left side of my face with a left hook, the jurors are going to pause. They're going to say, wait a second, that's not possible.
Right, Matthew. I love what you said there. And there was not a demonstration. We went all through the transcript, and you're right. That could have really helped clear it up, and then maybe she would have made better sense. I'm not saying she's lying. I'm just saying, that's not good that she's saying, she's an adult woman and saying, I get my left and my right confused.
Wilson in the chat says, I get my rights and left mixed up. So I type in all caps. What? It could happen. It's possible, but I mean, it's such a big deal for a trial. You don't want to get that mixed up. And then you have everybody else saying, well, it was with his right hand or whatever. I think it's odd that we didn't get to see this witness. Now, I get somebody in the chat said, she's a victim, so she has victim rights. But the only thing you're alleging is you got punched. It's not like somebody did something to you, or like the other guy who's literally was his guts were out and everything. Maybe she just didn't want to be on TV, but I think it is weird. That's kind of odd to me.
Let's look at a little more here. So this is from a point in the transcript where she's being questioned by the prosecutor, and she's talking about how she did make contact and put her hands on Nicolae Miu. She's asked, what did you do? And she said, I graciously grabbed the corner of his elbow and I got him back toward me instead of those boys. Did you yank him? No, sir. Did you and Riley's another one of the girls involved in this, did you both touch his shoulders? Yes. Shove him? You didn't shove him or hit him, which is actually an objectionable question there, as you know, Matthew. And she says no, because the defense is saying that she did shove him and was pushing him, and that the strike that he delivered to her was a defensive strike. Oh my, this is messy, isn't it, Matthew? How does this get sorted out for the jury? And I think for all of us at home struggling with not seeing her, and she's not on the video. How much do you think that might matter, Matthew, for the jury that this incident wasn't caught on tape?
Well, there's no question that jurors, like to see videotape.
Graciously.
It genuinely shows exactly what happened. There's a lot of videotape here, but yet there's no videotape of this encounter. We didn't get to see her, we didn't get to hear her, but the jury did. So the jury has that ability to determine her believability or credibility. And that's what every case comes down to. Do you believe what this witness is telling you? Is this witness credible? And they can make those judgments. We can't. We haven't had an opportunity to see it. But again, we have to remember that self-defense, is it reasonable? Is your conduct reasonable? Did you need to use lethal force? Did you believe you were in danger of serious bodily injury or death? And that's really what the standard is here if we're going to talk about self-defense in this case.
Right, Matthew, thank you for that. Serious bodily injury or death, got to be imminent, as you said. What was his belief at the time? I do have a clip I would love to play for you now. This is from witness Riley Madison. So she's friends with Madison Cohen. She calls her Maddie. So Madison Cohen, the woman who chose not to be on camera, but Riley was okay with being on camera, and she really does corroborate the story that Madison tells. Let's take a look.
Do you remember everything sequentially perfectly, or is it choppy?
It's very choppy for me.
Okay. So what do you remember next?
I remember getting off the tube, walking up to Mr. Miu, and I just remember Maddie being there and yelling at him. I remember her being punched in the face, and then I remember being stabbed, and that is completely it.
Okay, Matthew, how much does testimony like this help?
Well, certainly it corroborates what we've heard from Madison Cohen, that in fact, this whole incident was precipitated, certainly the physicality of it was precipitated by him punching her in the face, and that is consistent with her testimony, and it's helpful for the prosecution.
Right, Matthew, it certainly reinforces their position. We'll leave it there for now and go in there live.
Wow. What a mess, man. I'm still like, I don't know. Like I said, I think the jury, maybe they'll go for like the middle. People just tend to choose like the middle shit, the lesser charge. I think they'll probably go for the lesser charge, maybe. But I think I think there's more than enough for reasonable doubt for not guilty. But I don't know. Matt Walsh, Sarah was saying Matt Walsh did a video on it. I'll skim it a little bit to listen to it. I don't want to play his video because I don't know, they got copyright stuff there, The Wire.
I'm determined immediately that George Zimmerman was the bad guy. And of course, Kyle Rittenhouse was very nearly had to spend the rest of his life in prison for the crime of defending himself against several people who were clearly trying to kill him, including a pedophile who just got out of a mental hospital and an Antifa foot soldier who drew a handgun on him. Now, everyone's heard of these cases because in both instances, there was a very clear racial angle to push. Now, even though he didn't kill any black people, the Kyle Rittenhouse incident happened, of course, in the context of BLM mobs torching cities. So they had that angle, and that's why he became an instant target. George Zimmerman, for his part, gave Barack Obama a chance to talk about how systemically racist America is. So his case was useful for a moment as well. But there are many self-defense cases that don't make the mainstream news, at least not nearly to the same extent. And all of them, to one degree or another, contradict the prevailing media narrative. So the corporate press ignores them. But they're important to talk about, in part because they show how prosecutors and witnesses are willing to lie to imprison people who exercise one of the most fundamental rights. You might say the most fundamental, which is the right of self-defense. How casually they will destroy people's lives for the crime of trying to preserve their own lives. So I'm going to go in depth into one of these cases, which is still ongoing, hasn't gotten nearly as much attention as it deserves. And plus, it's the premiere day for Judge, so I figure a deep dive on a court case seems sort of fitting. So here's the background. In the summer of 2022, a man in his early 50s named Nicolae Miu was out tubing with a group of people, including his wife. And this was in the Apple River in Wisconsin. Now, apparently, a member of his party dropped their phone somewhere in the river, and Nicolae Miu left his group and went looking for the phone. And that's when, around 3:40 p.m., Miu encountered a couple of additional tubing groups, one consisting of a bunch of teenagers and the other including some adults. And most of the involved parties are very clearly under the influence of alcohol and perhaps other drugs to varying degrees. And they begin exchanging some words. And here's what happened next. Watch.
We saw the
Now, it's clear from this footage that throughout the entire incident, right up until their friend got stabbed, the crowd of teenagers doesn't seem to be afraid of anything or feel fearful for their lives in any way. And they seem to be having a great time. And that makes sense because Miu is much older than they are. And though they wouldn't have known this, he just had quadruple bypass surgery. So he wasn't out looking for, a fight with a bunch of teenagers. Meanwhile, these teenagers are mostly football players in prime physical condition. So they appear to be very much the aggressors as they jeer and taunt the older man and accuse him of, quote, looking for a little girl. And then something happens off camera. An adult woman who came over from another tubing group gets in the man's face. He apparently makes some kind of contact with her, and the mob pounces. They push the man and begin hitting him repeatedly after he goes down in the water. And meanwhile, the woman is fine. She's not hurt in any way. Only after the man fatally stabs one of his attackers, it's a teenager named Isaac Schumann, does the mood start to change. Schumann bled out on the scene. The man also stabbed several others who were attacking him. And you can tell from watching the video that he was not chasing them down and slicing away, that they were coming at him, attacking him. And that's when he used the knife. Now, based on these facts, within 48 hours, the DA charged Nicolae Miu with first-degree murder. And what's followed nearly 2 years later is, for the prosecutors anyway, nothing short of a train wreck. There are airtight cases and there are close cases, and then there's this. Pretty much every prosecution witness has demonstrated very clearly that they're either lying or they're completely unsure of what happened 2 years ago. And this is such a debacle that very real questions need to be asked about why this case was brought and why these prosecutors still have jobs. Balance of Nature fruits and veggies is the most convenient way to get whole fruits and vegetables every day. They use an advanced cold vacuum process that
It's a sponsor. I like Matt Welch too. I actually subscribed to him. I watch sometimes. I had no idea he talked about this case. Thank you, Sarah, for telling me. And I guess he has a segment called Judge Walsh, and he literally has like a thing in the background, which is kind of cool. Judge Walsh.
Promo code Walsh to get 30.
See, I haven't watched all the witnesses, but all right, the ones that we saw yesterday to me are deceptive. There was one that straight out seemed to be caught in a lie, or at least different report than what he originally reported. And this guy seems like he's trying to be honest, but the whole thing to me, like I said, he made it to calling him like a pedo and rapist. Based off of that, he supposedly Miu said he was looking for little girls. But then he said he felt guilty for calling him that. I'm just like, well, why would you feel guilty for calling him that if you said that that's what you heard him say? Then you would be justified in what you're saying, maybe, right? Like, what if that's really what you heard, and it seems to be the justification that all these kids are using, that, he was looking for girls, so we beat the shit out of him. Or the justification that they claim he punched Maddie. All right, let's keep listening to Matt Walsh. Let's see.
With Nicolae Miu, nation set of .com, promo code Walsh. So I'll start with the incredible testimony of a witness named Larion Davis, who recorded some of the footage of the incident. Under cross-examination from one of Kyle Rittenhouse's old lawyers, incidentally, Davis admits that he lied to the police about why the group was upset with Nicolae Miu. This is just incredible footage. Watch this.
You also said
this is the guy that lied.
He came out of the bushes. And he was taking pictures of the girls.
Yes, I said that.
You saw that?
No, I said that.
I understand you said it. Did you see it?
Yes.
So you saw Mr. Miu with his camera that afternoon taking pictures of little girls. That's what you're telling this jury.
Oh, no. No, that's what I said.
No, like I said, I understand you said it. Is it true?
Oh, I don't know.
Why would you say it if you don't know if it's true?
It was a lot going on.
Bruh. We watched that yesterday.
Okay. Now, it's hard to believe that this is a real interaction between two humans in a courtroom. So the lawyer says, you said you saw him taking pictures of little girls. Witness says, yeah, I said that. Lawyer says, did you see it? Witness says, no, I said it. Now, to be clear, we're talking about falsely accusing a man of pedophilia 2 years after the fact. And then, and the only excuse he can come up with for lying is there was a lot going on. There's a lot going on, so I just accused someone of being a pedophile. It just happens, and things were hectic. Keep in mind, this is a prosecution witness. So this should be the end of the case right there. I mean, this is the clearest possible evidence.
So some of you guys in the chat are saying OJ passed away. That seems to be the case. That's what Twitter is saying. It's trending, and some, I would say, pretty decent sources, I say somewhat credible, and it's all over. It seems like it really is. Yeah, they're saying he passed away, and I think he was dealing with cancer. Yeah, they're saying he's died of cancer. Damn, and he was how old is OJ? OJ was not that old. Not old. Oh, he's 76. Made it up there. I guess if it wasn't for cancer, he would have lived longer. He had died at 76 after cancer battle. Succumbed to his battle with cancer. I don't know what kind of cancer he had.
Hey, X-World. Hospice? Hospice? You talking about hospice? No, I'm not in any hospice. I don't know who put that out there, but whoever put that out there, I guess is like the Donald say, can't trust the media. In any event, I'm hosting a ton of friends for the Super Bowl here in Las Vegas, and all is well, you know.
He was battling prostate cancer. Damn. Wow. Oh, he was denying the hospice claims, huh? Wow. Lowen Harkness says Miu's group was sequestered. The other two groups were allowed to stay in the courtroom. Once the defense pointed out that the knife was Miu's right hand, the others testified left. Ooh. Oh. They should have sequestered all of them. I don't think they should have let any of those witnesses hear any of each other's testimony. And he said, line right to the end, OJ. All right, let's finish Matt Walsh.
That the people Miu confronted decided long after the fact to come up with a story to justify their aggression towards him. They have no credibility whatsoever. You'll remember in the video, somebody shouted that Miu was looking for a girl, but on cross-examination, another witness, Jawan Cockfield, admitted that the claim was not based on any evidence whatsoever. Watch.
You tell the police that he told you he's looking for a snorkel, yes?
Yes.
Okay. And you then say, grown man can't have sex with little girls. What the hell? What the He's a raper. Right? Uh-huh. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. You have no information as to what this older man is doing, do you?
No.
Okay? Calling him a raper and saying he can't have sex with little girls. You're doing that to humiliate him, aren't you?
Not necessarily.
Well, what other reason would you be calling him names when you don't know anything about what's happening?
Trying to figure out the situation.
So the way that you're trying to figure out what's happening is by calling a grown man names. Yes?
Yes.
I mean, part of the problem here for the prosecution is you have witnesses whose IQs are not much higher than like the chairs they're sitting on. So, you know, they just called this man a raper who's interested in little girls as a way of scoping out the situation. You know, that's what they're saying. That was their way of gathering intel, apparently. Trying to figure out what was going on. So, you know, when you're trying to figure out what's going on, the best way to do that is just to accuse everyone of being rapists. That's, you know, you start with that and then you kind of whittle things down from there. And then elsewhere in the testimony, Cockfield claims to be shocked that the man in response turned around and became upset. Now, none of this makes any sense. And as the trial went on, it continued to make no sense. For example, on cross-examination, it was revealed that the dead teenager's best friend, Owen Peliquin, told police on the day of the incident that Miu was looking for a lost phone, not underage girls. Listen to the defense attorney read Owen's prior statement and then watch as Owen tries to weasel out of this admission. Watch.
Your answer. Ooh. We were floating, and then we look at him, and he was just standing completely by himself with some goggles on. And then we were like, what are you doing? And he said, oh, I'm looking for a phone. Do you remember providing that answer to that question?
Not at all.
Is that true?
Very true.
That happened.
No.
That didn't happen.
I do not remember.
You don't remember what happened that day in the river?
Well, I remember.
So did he or did he not tell you that he was looking for a phone?
I don't recall him ever saying that. No.
Okay. Is your memory better today or is it better on the day of the incident?
I'd say it's better today.
It's better today, almost 2 years later. Yes?
Yeah, I've been able to think about it a lot.
Okay. Well, in between the time of the incident and today, do you ever reach back out to law enforcement to make any corrections that you might have had?
No, I'm pretty young. I wouldn't have known how to do that.
Okay.
Still wouldn't.
Wow. So he literally said, isn't that what he said, that he was looking for the, that's what these witnesses are just like, this, I'm saying like this in itself is like enough to be like, there's reasonable doubt.
I mean, you know, if there wasn't a dead person here and someone else's life hanging in the balance, you'd almost have to laugh at some of this. It seems almost like a courtroom, like a very dark courtroom comedy. Just these witnesses. So 2 years later, Owen's memory is suddenly better. It's better now than it was at the time. He remembers more about what happened 2 years later than he did when it actually happened. And by that he means his memory is worse. Because he doesn't remember if his memory is good or not. That's part of the problem. He says his memory is, he doesn't remember, he does remember, he's not sure. He doesn't remember remembering. And now he doesn't recall the guy ever saying anything about missing a phone. And he had no way of figuring out how to tell the police any of this because he's just 19 years old. And 19-year-olds are apparently completely unable to use Google or cell phones or dial 911 or communicate basic ideas at all, evidently. These are strange lapses in the prosecution's case, to say the least, and it keeps going. Owen also testifies that he simply can't remember the fact that one of his friends was shouting for the culture to egg on a fight. Watch.
I wouldn't say we ever did it just for like a camera, like a video.
Well, do you remember him yelling for the culture? Remember that?
I do not.
You don't remember him yelling that?
I don't.
Okay. Do you remember somebody in your group yelling or saying to somebody, you got 10 seconds? Remember that?
I don't recall that.
Did you say that?
I did not.
Okay. So Mr. Miu moves over to the blonde. You agree there's a path to go through, but you want to see this through, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, I admit I'm not as hip as I used to be. Well, I was never hip, let's be honest. I had to look this one up because you know, I don't know. So I went to Urban Dictionary, and you'll find that for the culture is, quote, when you do something you know you usually wouldn't have done and are doing it purely for the hype factor of going against your usual judgment to instead try something new and different. And this is what one of the witnesses was shouting, and we heard that in the video. They were shouting as the mob descended on this 52-year-old man. When you want the best tickets at any sporting event,
they got a lot of ad reads.
Criminally starts swinging. Instead, he only targeted the people who were targeting him, including Isaac Schumann, who put his hands on Miu's neck. Watch.
You watched the video, right?
Yes.
Okay. So now you're aware that Isaac has his hands around Mr. Miu's throat?
I didn't know that he had his hands around his throat, no.
You didn't see that?
No.
Okay. Is that something that you saw?
No. That was pretty late. I think Isaac was the last one stabbed on video. And so by that time I was focused on the guy next to me who had his whole stomach cut open.
Okay, but I guess my point is, initially you say you didn't see Isaac make contact with him. You see on that video somebody with their hands around Mr. Miu's throat, right?
Yeah.
Okay. On that video, nobody is stabbed until Mr. Miu is punched in the face and knocked in the water, right? You agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay. And so you would agree that the people that are injured with the knife, that all happens after Mr. Miu has been knocked in the water, punched, slapped, pushed, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And you don't attack Mr. Miu, do you?
No.
Okay. And he doesn't do anything to you, does he?
No.
Now, it's not an exaggeration to say that the prosecution has not presented a single witness to bolster its claim that this was first-degree murder. Instead, every single witness rebutted their argument. So here, for example, is another witness, A.J. Martin, who concedes that ganging up on a man in his 50s and beating him may, in fact, not exactly de-escalate an already tense situation. Watch.
You're pushing him, correct?
Yeah, that's where I had said that I thought I'd push him in the front left shoulder to keep him down, but I was there too late, so I didn't get that shoulder. I guess I got the back of it, and...
You said you're a peacemaker, right? You like to mediate?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do.
You can understand how somebody who'd been down in the water and hit 2 times, getting pushed from behind, may not understand that you're trying to mediate. Goes to his mindset.
Overruled. You answer the question if you're able to.
Sorry, what was the question?
Sure. As somebody who likes to mediate and was attempting to mediate, you can understand how a person in Mr. Miu's position who'd been hit twice in the water might not understand or appreciate your intent to try to de-escalate by pushing him in the behind.
I guess.
Might misunderstand that, right?
He could misunderstand that.
Sure.
Okay, so far, thanks to the prosecution witnesses, we have established the following facts. Most of their witnesses are liars. It was completely reasonable for this 50-year-old man to fear for his life. One of the teenagers had his hand on this man's throat while the others were pummeling him, and that they all lied about him being a pedophile 2 years after the fact. So, like, what are we doing here? There's no case. This man should be at home living his life. There's nothing to even talk about. And this is not exactly the kind of case that it takes Perry Mason to win, but somehow, once again, things got worse for the prosecution. Yet another witness claimed that the group was afraid of Nicolae Miu, but began to feel a little more secure as other adults began surrounding him as well. So he's presenting this image of a deranged 50-year-old man who's freaking them out. And then the defense attorney shows a photo of the witnesses looking extremely enthusiastic and not remotely afraid. Watch.
You see Mr. Miu walking away from your group, moving over toward the blonde person, the woman, right?
Yes.
Okay. And at that point, are you still scared?
When more people, adults, start to come, I felt a little bit more secure.
Okay. That's you, right?
Yes.
Okay. And this is, if you remember, moments before Madison Cohen, you say you see her punched, right?
This is before I saw her get punched, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, again, if not for the context, you have to laugh at some of that. He's claiming that he was fearful for his life, and then you cut to a photo of him looking the happiest he's probably ever been in his life. I mean, that's the man. That's the face of a man caught on one of those cameras at a Six Flags, roller coaster or something. That's not the face of someone who's fearing for their very lives. That is certainly not someone who's,
All right. Oh, that was really interesting. Honestly, man, hearing more and more the highlights of the witnesses, because I haven't seen the other witnesses, man. I say not guilty. I just think there's just way more than enough for a reasonable doubt. I feel like everybody's lying. It's just a mess. A mess.
That was actively bleeding, and it was nothing.
Man or a woman?
Woman.
Is that the woman that you testified earlier that you had seen get stabbed?
I would need to see again, but I don't completely recall.
Were you injured in any way?
No.
Did Mr. Miu do anything to you?
No, he didn't do anything to me.
All right. Did you ever lay a hand on him?
No.
At some point, did you realize that Isaac Schumann had been stabbed?
Yes.
Did you actually see that happen?
I didn't see the action of him getting stabbed, no.
When did you first realize that he had been stabbed?
I noticed he got stabbed when he fell into the water.
Were you near him when that happened?
I was close. I was a couple feet away from him.
What did you see on Isaac as he fell into the water? And I know this is hard.
Yeah. So when he fell into the water, I knew he was holding the left side of his chest, and so when I picked him up, I noticed he had a huge gash in his chest that was bleeding out.
We're going to play a portion of the video starting at the 2:15 mark. While that's getting set up, did you, once you realized that Isaac was injured, did you go to him?
Yeah, I immediately grabbed him, saw that he was injured and wasn't able to completely move, and that's when I decided I needed to hold pressure onto the wound and drag him to the shore.
Did you do that?
I did. I apologize.
At some point, did some folks stop to help you care for Isaac?
Yeah, some adults came by and helped us out.
Did you, were you present while they were trying to render aid to Isaac?
Yes, I was.
Eventually, did EMTs and police arrive on the river?
They did.
Did you see them take Isaac off the river?
Yes.
Did you follow?
Yeah, my sister and my brother-in-law picked me up and drove me to the hospital where he was getting sent to.
While you were at the hospital where they brought Isaac, did you speak to police?
Yes, I did.
Do you remember if you spoke to police on the side of the river as well?
Yep.
Did you tell them what happened?
Yes.
All right, if we can go to the screen. We're playing the video starting at 2:15. Alex, I'm going to ask you to review this, and I know it's going to be difficult.
All right, let's pause for a second. Let's see. Brits, thank you for the super chat. Yeah, we talked about it. TMZ has reported OJ has passed away from cancer. Thank you for the 10th super chat on a live stream. Carly, thank you for the 15 months. Damn, I can't believe it's already. You've been here that long as a member. Chris, thank you for the 5. Can you do a Dumbass of the Month award where we vote just videos you covered for the month? We could do that. Almost like a Donkey of the Day. I think Charlemagne does Donkey of the Day, which is kind of funny. We could do that. We could do a monthly thing. Maybe I could ask somebody, one of the mods, or somebody maybe to kind of coordinate some for the month, the topics that we could add to that. So we're almost at 6 hours. Let me see what they're saying. They're just showing highlights.
So he heads over there.
Let's see here. I think we should do a new poll too. Right now we're almost done for the morning as far as like, will the verdict be in this morning? 51% say this afternoon. I hope that it's done today. Hopefully, hopefully it doesn't take them the entire day and into the next day for that. Day one, I do know about Jessica Reed and all that. That was messed up. I actually made videos about that back in the day, and then Breakfast Club started trying to like strike my videos and stuff. What was I thinking? Yeah, hopefully they're done today. JD Wells, thank you for the 6 months, says these kids are all trying to justify them starting this. Like I was saying earlier, I mean, just looking at the video, but also you can take into context the testimonies. People, especially what we have going on right now in society, people are just tired of seeing things like this. People are tired of taking shit. Jumped by multiple people, attacked. These random attacks that happen all over the place. Whether it's punched, these women in New York that are getting punched or stabbed just because they say no to a guy, or like just the chaos in society. People are just tired of this shit. And then this thing with these kids, I feel like we've seen kids like this too, kind of like brats. Just want to mess with somebody. Did you play the video that the jury wanted to watch? Yeah, it was this morning. It was really quick. They didn't even want to watch the whole thing. It was like a couple of seconds. The only problem that I could see on the jury is if there's people disagreeing. All it takes is one person. If there's people disagreeing, one or two people, and that could be a problem. I should probably read this article too. So this article was sent to me by Cobalt in the chat. And I guess this is looking into the past of Nicolae. Take a look. And by the way, behind me, I have the trial thing up on screen. So if they come back, we'll be able to see it. But, all right. Nicolae, stabbed to death. This is the person, I believe, Isaac, the attacker. And we know the story. Isaac Schumann, honor student. Nicolae, charged with the teen's murder and 4 other counts of attempted first-degree homicide. Okay, an investigation as an investigation continues. A 1999 legal filing obtained by the Sun reveals that Miu and his identical twin brother Mihai, or something like that, Mihai, once filed for a restraining order against their own father, Nicolae Miu Snur, citing numerous instances of physical abuse. The document dated January 26, 1999, was part of an appeal launched by Nicolae Sr., I said Snur, but it's Sr., in response to an order of protection, OFP, awarded to Mihai by the Hennepin County. Miu and Nicolae Jr. outlined multiple instances of physical and verbal abuse carried out by their father, according to the filing. The brothers also testified that the father spied on Miu, lurking outside of his home and insisting they were really afraid of him. Pushing back against the spying claims, Nicolae Sr. reportedly told the court a bizarre, paranoid-sounding tale that the KGB has a plot aimed to get him through his son. So I guess he's trying to say his son wants to kill him, the KGB. Nicolae Sr.'s appeal was rejected by the court, and Miu's order for protection was upheld, rightfully so. The shunned father died less than 18 months later at the age of 75. The cause of its death was unclear, with the spokesperson from the Hennepin County Medical Examiner's office telling the Sun they didn't have information on file. An investigation was launched into Nicolae Sr.'s death. An officer with the Bloomington Police Department confirmed through a request seeking further information was not returned by the time of publication. People kill people. Prior to his arrest on Saturday, Nicolae Jr. had no criminal history in his home state of Minnesota. He is a father of a 16-year-old boy, though the teen and his mother, Miu's ex-wife, relocated to Romania after their divorce in 2009, 2013 court filing shows. A glance at Miu's Facebook paints him to be a staunch advocate for the Second Amendment and an admirer of attractive chicks. In a post authored one day before he allegedly murdered Schumann, Miu reposted a pro-gun meme on Facebook showing a family of 3 hunting with scoped rifles. This is quality family time and gun control all in one. Repost because the communists at Facebook are covering it up and deleting it. A second pro-gun post reshared by Miu in 2020 also referenced killing people. I believe in the right to keep and bear arms, the meme read. If you believe in the Second Amendment, you are not afraid to show it. Repost this. Guns don't kill people, people kill people. Around Valentine's Day in 2019, Miu also posted a message of thanks to his wife, who said she had bought him a handgun with a cache of ammunition stashed in a heart-shaped box to mark the romantic holiday. Big thanks to my wonderful wife, he wrote. I love my present. Happy Valentine's Day to you too. So Kobo sent me this yesterday, and he was like, you know what was in that heart? A gun. I was like, oh shit. It actually looked kind of dope. Present. Where's it at? I might have to re-download it. Damn it. It was a Valentine's Day thing with a gun and ammo inside. I was like, oh snap. Where's that? Did I not save it? I might have to find it again. Let's see. Here it is. Here it is. Here it is. They download it. Happy Valentine's Day. Christina Rojas, thank you for the super chat. Says Mel, you should go live with the OJ Chase in honor. Yeah, OJ's Chase. I wonder if that's online. Concern about the youth. Okay, what else we got? Elsewhere on his page, Miu appeared to make anti-trans remarks, oh Lord, and decried a perceived lack of respect among the youth of today in a lengthy rant posted on the platform in 2020. The entire world is very confusing. World latest, boys dressing like girls, fake lips, fake boobs, fake food, fake everything, he wrote. Boys using girls' bathrooms. Is that supposed to be our new staple of freedom? Men not respecting their woman counterparts because of a lack of upbringing is very concerning. Children not respecting their parents is also very concerning. And yes, not respecting God is the most concerning to me. Politicians should not be our leaders. They should be our servants. For that reason, we hired them and nothing else. Instead, they're dividing the country. Among its like pages are groups such as Attractive Chicks, Jesus is All We Need, I Support Donald Trump, and one called Redhead's Desire. Ooh. What's that? Let me look on Facebook. It's like I guess one of those pages with like Redhead's Desire. I don't know. There's so many redhead things, whatever. Redhead's Desire, the one that I see, is just a bunch of Jesus stuff on there. Oh. 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 Attractive Chicks. The Attractive Chicks page that I went to has a bunch of Jesus stuff on there too. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh. I don't know. That's the Attractive Chicks page. Da, 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 da. All right. And I guess that's it. Interesting document. Blood in the water. Okay. Where is the thing we were watching?
What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? He's dying. He's dying.
The beginning of the video, was that you running towards where Isaac was in the water?
Yes.
Did anyone else run towards Isaac besides for you?
Yeah.
Who else?
Owen Peliquin.
Was he in your group that day?
Yes, he was.
I know it's been almost 2 years, but do you remember the face of the person who did this?
Yes, I do.
Do you see him in the courtroom here?
Yeah.
You point him out, say what he's wearing?
He's right there.
What's he wearing?
Suit jacket, dress pants, brown shoes.
Far left of the table from your perspective?
Correct.
While you were at the hospital, is that when you and your friends were informed that Isaac had passed away?
Yes.
I don't have any other questions.
Mr. Trophy.
Mr. Vink, you're a student at St. John's?
Correct.
Okay. You go to school with Joanne Cockfield?
I do.
Okay. Are you guys roommates or anything?
No.
Just friends?
Yes.
Okay. And you acknowledge that you provided an interview to police in this case, is that right?
Yes.
And that interview was given the day of the incident, is that true?
It was.
Okay. Is your memory better on the day of the incident, or is it better 21 months later?
I'd say it's just about the same.
Okay. You would agree that in your interview that you gave on the day of the incident to police, you never mentioned to them that you had a conversation or heard Mr. Miu talking about little girls in any way, right?
Yes.
You never tell them that, do you?
I didn't. I was still in shock. There was a lot of little details that I could have explained, but there was still a lot going through my head, and I couldn't possibly process every single little detail that happened, but I tried to give him the best I could at that moment.
Sound like a big detail to me.
Well, the good news is we've had 21 months since then. In those 21 months, did you ever follow up with them and say, you know, I left something out? He told me he was looking for little girls. Did you ever do that?
I made sure to tell my team that a couple weeks before this happened, when we were talking.
You told the prosecution a couple weeks before this happened, before this testimony?
Yes.
That had happened?
Yes.
Okay. You never tell the police that, right?
No, not at those moments, no.
Okay. And you never follow up with them and tell them, right?
No, I didn't.
What you tell them is, you see a guy snorkeling by himself, and we're just saying, oh, he's snorkeling by himself, right? That's what you tell police.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yeah, he looked like he was about to do some snorkeling activities, yeah.
Okay. And then you just say he was chirping back at us and we were chirping at him, right?
Yeah, I made a little joke like the water's super short, you know, like what you looking for, maybe just a little chirping like, yeah, the water's short, you know, maybe it's not, just maybe like, I don't know anything about snorkeling. It was a little joke.
Okay. And does he respond to you?
Yes, he did.
What does he say?
I asked him what he was doing looking in the water. He said he was something along the lines of, I'm looking for little girls or something.
Okay. Now, of course, that's not on tape, right?
It's not. And
Juwan Cockfield has testified, and he agreed that your group was antagonizing Mr. Miu. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Would you agree that, at least on tape, the loudest antagonizer is Juwan Cockfield? Would you agree with that?
He was the closest to the phone.
I mean, you can hear his voice the most.
Yes.
Right? And do you recall Juwan Cockfield on video saying grown men cannot have sex with little girls and calling him a raper? Remember that?
I don't recall.
Crazy. If you can just listen to this, Mr. Rand, you can watch it too, obviously, but listen. Now, before we start, can you bring it up? Is that you?
That is.
Okay.
Sorry, I pulled up the wrong video. Can you turn it down? I apologize. Can I just get exhibit 2? Sorry. Thank you.
ask you, Mr. Banks. You see any little girls around there?
I did not.
Okay.
That's him floating.
Is that you, Mr. Banks?
Yes.
Okay.
Grown man trying to have sex with little girls. What the hell? What the fuck? Out! He's a raper. Whoa.
You remember that now?
Yes.
Okay.
Is he the one that said it?
And at that point,
or was that the other guy?
Mr. Miu's not bothering you guys at all, is he?
No, he's walking away.
Okay. Walking away, and you guys, at least Mr. Cockfield, starts calling him a raper. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And you tell police that you say, we almost started calling him a predator and a pedophile, right? You didn't almost, you did, right?
Yes.
So you have no idea why he's there, right?
No.
And you guys take to just humiliating this man. True?
We wouldn't say what we said if he didn't say what he said.
I know, but as we've already established, you don't tell that to the police and it's not on the video, right?
Say again?
We've already established you don't tell the police that he said that, and it's not on any video that was recorded.
Objection, Your Honor. That's been asked and answered.
Well, you just asked
We're plowing the same ground.
Okay. So, do you, when he walks up to your tubes, you said that you were, if I have it right, you were very scared. Is that right?
Yes, I would say he ran up to us, and I was scared.
Okay. Did your fear dissipate as time went on? Or did you remain very scared throughout the incident?
I was still internally as scared as I was.
He walks around your tubes and starts walking away from your group. Is that right?
Maybe a few steps.
He turns his back to your group? He turns his back to your group, yes?
Yes.
Okay. And at that point, you just want to get by? You just want to be able to get past him? Is that fair?
Yeah, we were floating down still. From where he was, it would just be like this. Like, we were just moving along the river, going with the flow, until he ran up to our tubes and stopped us.
I'm going to need you to listen to my question. My question was, what you're hoping for is that you're able to get past him. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And there comes a point where this blonde woman that you've mentioned, she's testified, Madison Cohen, where she starts to come over, right?
Yes.
And he moves from where you guys are over to her, doesn't he?
Yes.
Okay. He gives you that path that you're looking for to float on by, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm wondering if they're confusing, like Combat Drummer said, little goggles for little girls. Maybe he said he was looking for goggles and they heard girls or something?
Yes.
You don't take it though, do you?
He already stopped us.
That's not my question. My question is, you've admitted he gives you a path and you don't take it, right?
Yes.
You stay, right?
Yes.
Your group stays, don't they?
Yes.
Okay. And you guys who have the ability to go past him, do you hear this woman yelling at him?
I do.
Okay. And she never tells you guys to go past, does she?
I don't recall.
Okay. Do you hear Joanne Cockfield tell her he's looking for little girls?
I don't recall.
Okay. Ryan Nelson describes her as getting, and Joanne did too, by the way, as getting the blonde girl, as getting in Mr. Miu's face. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, she was face to face with him.
Okay. Ryan Nelson said that she was in his personal space. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay. I've asked some of your group to listen. You can watch, but you need to listen to hear if you can hear on this video someone say the words, "You've got 10 seconds." Okay? So I just want you to listen to it and tell me if you hear it. You can play it twice if you can.
guys tell me too.
We're ready. So I would just ask that you listen, okay, Mr. Ray?
What did you say?
You can play it.
What did you say?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So somebody in your group says,
Oh, hey, at least admitted it, because I forgot what. We saw somebody taking the stand and they straight up bullshitted that they can't hear it. They don't hear that.
you got 10 seconds, right? Do you say that?
No.
I'm going to object. You didn't let him answer the first question about if someone in his group.
You said yes.
Said that.
You said yes.
Sustained. Can you ask? Sure. Go back and just clean it up.
Do you say that?
I do not.
Okay. You hear someone's, on this recording, you hear someone say it, right?
On the video, yes.
Okay. You'd agree that you don't believe it's Juwan Cockfield because he's holding the camera, right?
No.
So, fair to say it's someone else in your group, yes?
I don't recall if it was our group.
No snitching.
Okay. The other group wasn't over there at that point, right?
I didn't know where that point of the video was.
Okay. As the blonde girl comes over, she comes over with a couple other people, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so, and at that point you believe that Mr. Miu is alone? True.
Yes.
So, when she comes over, she brings a couple people with her, so it's, and you have 6, so at that point it's at least 8, 9 people versus 1, right? Is that fair?
Yep.
Ryan Nelson said that changed his fear level, that the more people that showed up, the less his fear decreased, and so did Juwan Cockfield. Is that how you felt?
Yeah, I would say it slightly got better, but I mean, there was still commotion in front of us. I mean, it helped that a different group came to help us out, but I mean, the threat level was still there from what I saw.
You don't see Mr. Miu with a knife, right?
I don't.
Okay, so the threat level, you have 9 people around you, he's by himself, and you felt the threat level was high. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to show you number 2440, okay?
Please put the OJ back.
It is.
Is that you? Ooh. Are you in this picture? Do you appear to be concerned or afraid in that picture?
No.
Okay. And is it fair to say that you're not afraid or concerned because the numbers of people have increased in part?
Say again?
You initially said that you were very afraid and very scared, right? You just said on that photo that you don't appear to be very afraid or very scared. True?
Yeah.
My question to you is that because the number of people that have shown up has increased?
Yeah.
Yes? So the more people that show up to assist, the less afraid you're becoming.
Yes.
You are, right? Okay. And you would agree that Mr. Miu's not doing anything in terms of being, at that point, being physically aggressive to anyone, right?
Yeah.
He's not saying anything aggressive either, is he?
I don't recall.
If he would have said anything aggressive, do you think you would have... I know you didn't remember everything, but do you think you might have put it in your statement?
Possibly. I don't know. I don't completely remember what's going on through my head when I was giving my statements.
Did you ever ask to maybe do it another time when you felt a little better?
I did not.
Okay. Now, you agree there comes a point when you and your group come around to Mr. Miu and are pointing at him and calling him a predator, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you're doing that to humiliate him, aren't you?
I'd phrase it as calling him out.
Calling him out. That's why you were doing it.
Yes.
Okay. And in terms of the blonde girl that you say you see get hit, I want to make sure I got it right. You said right hand?
Yes.
Okay. And today, I don't want to misquote your testimony, punch or slap?
I'd say punch, but I don't know all the way. I'd say I'd estimate a punch.
Okay. So, fair to say that if he hits her with his right hand, he hits her on the left side of her face. Right?
Yep.
So he hits her on this side of her face.
This side, yes.
Yeah, okay. There's been various statements.
So this is important right here.
Fair to say that if he hits her with his right hand, he hits her on the left side of her face. Right?
Yep.
So he hits her on this side of her face.
This side, yes.
Yeah, okay. There's been various statements on how it happened. Juwan Cockfield referred to it as a hook. Is that how you would refer to it?
Yeah, it was a pretty good punch.
Okay. So pretty good punch with his
Took
right
that punch,
hand.
didn't fall?
Punching her in the left side of her face.
Yes.
Okay. Are you aware that he was holding a knife in his right hand?
After the video, I did, yes.
Okay. So your testimony under oath today is that he would have had to punch her, right? He couldn't slap her. How would you slap her holding a knife, right?
He did with the knife in the hand.
Yeah.
Okay. So with a knife in his hand, with a closed fist, he makes a hook motion and punches her in the face. That's your testimony?
Yes.
Okay. You told police that he slapped her in the face, didn't you?
Yeah.
So, under oath today, you're changing your testimony?
For after yeah.
Because your memory's better today than it was 21 months ago.
Say it's about the same or a little better.
Wow. Wow. I can't, man. I can't with these kids. I can't, man. I think it's bullshit. I think these people are full of shit. I think he's trying to like protect his friend, or trying to understand. Maybe they're traumatized from what happened to their friend, but like, right is right and wrong is wrong. I just with this league, I can't co-sign this nonsense, yo. This is just crazy. I just oh my gosh. I really think that they know how important this incident that didn't happen on camera is. Just like how supposedly this guy said he was looking for little girls, which maybe as some people said, maybe they misconstrued him saying looking for goggles as looking for girls. I don't know. But I don't know. And I wonder, after going through something so traumatic like that, like, do you learn from that situation or do you not? And you continue through life the same way? Or maybe they feel pressured. Maybe they feel like they have to do this for their friend. You know, that's just weird, man.
Okay. So he's holding the knife, comes across her like this, and punches her in the face. That's your testimony. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. And you agree, you told police he slapped her to the ground, right?
Yes.
You're saying that's a lie?
Well, I've seen the video. But I mean, according to my statement, that's just from what I remembered when the moment happened.
So are you tailoring your testimony today based on what you've seen on that video?
No. But from what I remember is that she didn't fall, but she did get hit in the face.
Right, but it's much different than what you told the police that day, right?
Once again, I was in a lot of shock, and there was a lot of details that I completely didn't process at the moment. I apologize, but that was the best I could have gave at that moment at that time.
And I think you told police when you see Mr. Miu get hit, you believe that he's, quote, almost knocked out, right?
Yeah, he fell to the floor.
Okay. But in your opinion on that day, he's hit to the point that you believe that he might be knocked unconscious.
Yes, when I see someone fall to the floor after they get, I can assume that they might have fell unconscious or they might have gone dazed.
Okay. And certainly falling into the water unconscious, that would be dangerous, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Okay. And he's a big guy, isn't he? Like on that day, he was a big guy.
Yes.
All right. So when you see a man the size of Mr. Miu get punched in the face, knocked in the water, you believe potentially unconscious, he's getting his butt kicked, isn't he?
Yeah, I'll say he got hit, yep.
I mean, he's getting his butt kicked, right? There's multiple people hitting him.
Objection to the term multiple.
Multiple.
Overruled. You can agree or disagree with the characterization. It's cross-examination.
Can you give me the characterization again?
He's getting hit multiple times. You'd agree with that?
Yes.
He's getting hit, knocked on the ground, and then hit again across the face. You'd agree with that?
Yes.
Right? You see on the video him getting pushed from behind, right?
I don't recall if that was on the video or not.
Okay. And my question to you was, you believe he's getting his butt kicked, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you were asked if he did anything to you. And you said no, right?
No.
You didn't do anything to him either, did you?
Correct.
One question. You agree that when he gets knocked into the ground, when he gets knocked on the ground in the water, you'd agree at that point he's surrounded by people. You'd agree with that. People have moved around him at that point, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't have a place to go at that point. True?
True.
Nothing else.
Mr. Smithstead?
Alex, Mr. Troffs, he'd asked you about Mr. Miu getting his butt kicked. When he stood up out of the river, did you see him bleeding anywhere?
No.
Did you see any marks anywhere?
No.
His face looked swollen at all?
Not that I recall.
In contrast, did you see other folks bleeding?
Yes.
You remember how many? At that point when he...
From what I remember, I saw the lady who got stabbed, the man with the stomach open, and my friend Isaac. But there was blood all over the water.
Did any of those people who were stabbed at any point have a knife in their hands?
No.
Nothing further.
Mr. Truffson? That's it. Thank you, Mr. Vang. You may step down. Is he excused? No. All right, please see the witness coordinator on your way out. She'll give you additional instructions. I understand lunch has arrived, so I think this will be a great place to break. Before you go downstairs, members of the jury, do not begin your deliberations over the lunch hour. You may talk with one another, but you cannot talk about the case. Do not interact with the attorneys, with the media, parties, members of the public.
All right, so there was that witness. All right, let's see where we're at. We're 6 hours and 30 minutes in approximately, and we've been on almost 3 hours today. Still no verdict. Oh, I'm gonna feed the dogs here in a second, and probably walk them in about 30 minutes. I'm gonna get them some food. The dogs in the dog house. Who's this guy?
Dismissed, or Mr. Anderson.
Can you please state your first and last name for the record?
Quentin Carlson.
And please spell your last name.
C-A-R-L-S-O-N.
Can you go by a nickname sometimes?
Q.
And how old are you?
50, sorry.
And can you look over at that board there?
I can't see it, I'm sorry.
Well, here, actually, I'll hand it to you. 26. Are you in the yellow shirt there?
I am.
Okay. Oh, who's this guy? And so you were tubing with these folks on July 30th?
So this is the group. He was with the Madison group. Okay. Scotty, I don't really know if we really need to hear this guy's testimony. I mean, unless you want to. Might as well. I mean, we got nothing but time, I guess. There's just the other person that testifies. I heard the guy's wife testified. I'm kind of curious about her testimony. Let me see. Oh, and there's the girl that got... Yeah, which one do we watch? Because there's the girl that got stabbed.
His entire defense rests.
It's a nurse. What's the injuries? There was a Mattison, whatever her name is, testimony as well. Which one is good? The guy testify? Okay, all right. Britt says, I want to hear this guy. Their dad says he said the young adult. All right, we'll check it out. This one. We'll check it out.
2022?
Yeah, my birthday.
Was that your actual birthday?
Yes, sir.
Was tubing on the river kind of a tradition for your birthday?
It was. It was something my wife had started before she passed. And so it was our 6th year going down the river.
And had you tubed on that river before?
I had, but not in years. Normally we went down the Namakagon, but due to some issues we'd had there, we changed the venue.
And while you were tubing, at some point, did something catch your or your group's attention?
Yes.
What was that?
We had come around a bend and noticed a group of teens that were calling and beckoning us to come help them. At that point, I had told my boys to stop our tubes, and I observed for a minute. And at that point, I saw Mr. Miu charge their tubes and stop the tubes from progressing down the river. I saw him acting in an aggressive and drunken manner, and I just thought that it probably was going to end badly if it didn't de-escalate. I asked my two boys to go over there and make sure nothing happened. I never dreamed it would turn into what it did.
And what was did you have a specific fear regarding escalating, whether that was Miu or the boys, both, one or the other?
At that time, the boys were all sitting in their tubes, but the way he was acting and the way he was, he was literally standing, the tubes had kind of wrapped around his legs, and he was stopping the tubes from going down the river. And I thought at some point, the boys at that point were still calling out for us to come help them, but I thought if those boys get off their tubes, they're going to beat the brakes off of this guy. And he's drunk and, obviously wasn't making good decisions. So we own a bar, and my boys are good at de-escalating fights and calming people down. And so I told Tony to go over there, and I told Dante to follow him. The girls were the first off their tubes and had run over there ahead of it. But it was Tony and Dante that I had asked to go over there.
And did you, at some point, did the incident turn physical?
It did. And to be honest with you, I was still across the river. The river was very rocky at that point, and I don't walk so well. But Matty had come running to me. He punched me, and the next thing I knew, I had a string of boys running at me. First my son Tony, and then Dante yelling, "Daddy, stab me." And I just remember thinking, stabbed you with what? I was bewildered, and I didn't realize what was going on until I saw AJ literally disemboweled. And at that point, it just erupted into chaos, and we tried to get the kids to the riverbank. And Dante went running upriver for help. It really it was a matter of seconds, and the whole thing had changed. So. And
today you used Nicolae Miu's, I think you called him Miu, but fair, you didn't know his name at the time.
No, I had no idea who he was.
You didn't know the other group of tubers either?
No.
So were you kind of over by your tube still?
I was still on my tube until Maddie came running over. It was after she said that he punched me, and I started looking at her face, and then literally within seconds, the boys were coming at me, and I was trying to assess their injuries and trying to make sense of it all, in mere moments.
Did you see anything on Maddie's face? Of injury?
Yeah, her eye was red and swollen.
Like skin around the eye, or what do you mean?
Her cheek was all puffed out. It was clear that she had been struck.
Oh, JoJo said, did he get them the alcohol?
Given how far away you are, you didn't actually see any of the stabbings or the...
No, I saw Dante strike Mr. Miu, and I had yelled out, to stop, because I didn't know what was going on at that point. That was prior to knowing that he had hit Maddie, and prior to prior to knowing that anyone had been stabbed.
Did you see where Nicolae went?
I didn't. I honestly was worried about my kids. I wasn't paying attention to where he went. I almost, I was looking at my kids, not looking upriver, not looking at what was going on. AJ's injuries were so severe, and I hate to admit it, but I was worried about my son Tony, and my son Tony was taking care of AJ, and there was nothing going to pull Tony off of AJ, and so I really was just very focused on Tony. I know I had sent Sheena and a couple others, Sheena and Janelle upriver after Dante to make sure he was okay and to try and get us some help. I knew that shortly downriver there was a sheriff's stand where they monitored the river. I just didn't know how far it was. I had actually thought it was closer than it was. And so I hoped that they were able to get a hold of the sheriff there.
Nothing else, Judge.
Mr. Nelson?
Mr. Carlson?
Right.
I want to ask you some questions about your birthday, okay?
Sure.
It wasn't just your birthday, it was also celebration of Madison Cohen's birthday as well, correct?
No, not that I'm aware.
Would it surprise you if Madison Cohen testified that it was a celebration of her birthday?
No, it wouldn't surprise me.
Okay.
I mean...
Do you know her very well?
Through my kids.
Okay.
I've gotten to know her much better since this incident.
Sure. On that day, though, fair to say it was you and your friends, including you, there was like 11 of you, is that right?
I mean, I can count it for you. It was 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 of us, yeah.
And the 11 of you were celebrating, correct?
Correct.
And part of that celebration involved consuming alcohol.
I get where you're going with that, but the reason we went to the Apple River, I put a limit on how much alcohol the kids could bring because we'd had a problem with drinking on the Namakagon. And
how much alcohol the kids could bring? What? I guess he means it's over the age kids, right? Or what?
Put a limit on how much alcohol the kids could bring because we'd had a problem with drinking on the Namakagon, and I didn't want a bunch of drunken people at my birthday that year.
Sure, understood. But in the past, you...
I wasn't drinking at all, so...
Understood. A couple of things there. So you said that in the past you had trouble with people maybe in your group drinking too much when they were on the river.
Absolutely.
Okay. And when people were drinking too much on the river, in your experience, that caused problems, for lack of a better term?
Well, the group size had grown to 50, 60 people in the past, and so we wanted to keep it a small, controlled group.
Sure. And I'm asking about the previous time. I'm going to get back to July 30th, but you mentioned something about the Namakagon, so I want to ask you some about that. Make sense? That experience of yours was when... It goes to his credibility about what he's saying about today and his impressions.
It was raised indirect. I'll give you a little bit of latitude to explore it.
Your experience on the Namakagon was that when people on the river tubing drink too much, it causes problems.
Yes.
Okay. So now back to July 30th. Okay. On that day, you're with your 11 people and everyone's celebrating, correct?
Okay.
Yes? I wasn't there. I'm trying to gather facts.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know what you mean by celebrating. We were quietly floating down the river until we were called upon.
Lots of different ways to celebrate, correct?
Sure.
Sometimes it's just you celebrate with your words, right?
Sure.
Sometimes people consume alcohol as part of that celebration, correct?
Absolutely.
Sounds like you weren't doing that, right?
That's correct.
But other people in your group were, correct?
Yes.
And in fact, there's a photo that you have in front of you which they're actually consuming alcohol in the photo, correct?
That is correct.
Is part of that photo in order to document not only the celebration but the consumption of alcohol on that day on the river?
I don't think anyone was trying to document the consumption of alcohol.
It's just a coincidence that of the people in that photo, 4 of the people are actually consuming alcoholic beverages while the photo's taken?
Yeah, I guess I don't think it was, I don't know that there was any exact intent in that. You know, they were having fun.
Sure, and part of having fun was for them to drink alcohol, right?
I think you're putting a lot of emphasis on it when the emphasis wasn't there.
I appreciate that maybe the emphasis wasn't. I'm just trying to gather the fact. They were drinking alcohol, yes?
Yes, we've stated that a couple times.
Okay. Now, as you know, there's a couple of videos involving what we're here to talk about in this trial. Is that right?
Yes.
Have you seen any of the videos regarding what happened?
I have not seen it yet.
Okay. So there's some things that you've said that are maybe in the video, and so I'm trying to put things into context with you, even though you haven't seen the video, if that makes sense, okay?
Sure.
What I gather from you is you were watching, and at some point you see Nicolae Miu approach this group of 6 teenagers. Is that right?
Charge, yeah.
Okay. You use the word charge. Whether there's a video on it, we'd get to decide that, correct? But that's what you remember, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And as he goes towards them, he's coming from upstream,
there's some activity in the courtroom. We don't know if there's a verdict or not, but there's
right?
activity.
No, he would have been downstream coming upstream.
Okay. So your memory is he's coming...
He was in front of them and ran back upriver at them.
Okay. That's what your memory is.
Well, that's what happened.
It may or may not have been what happened, but that's what your memory is, right?
Okay. Yes.
You would agree if we were going to rely upon your memory or the video might be more reliable?
Certainly.
Okay. At some point, you look over there, and Nicolae Miu and these 6, did you know how many there were other than you said a group?
No, they were sitting in their tubes, so, I mean, I didn't take a head count.
Sure. If I told you that there's been identified 6 people in that group, would that surprise you?
No.
Sound about right?
Certainly, I would have thought there was more, honestly.
Okay. And at some point, you look over to there and you see Nicolae Miu standing in between the tubes in the direction that the tubes are trying to go downstream. That's what your testimony is?
Correct.
Okay. Can I show you what, can I have permission to approach?
Yes.
Showing you what I've marked as exhibit number 101. Do you see that, sir?
Yes.
And you see on the bottom of this, it says upstream.
Okay.
And you see up there, it says downstream.
Correct.
And there's a red circle that says G2.
Yep.
And then there's 6 red dots over here. Do you see that?
Yep.
And then there's a blue dot with an M in it, correct?
Correct.
So if I were to tell you that G2 represents your group, number 2, and that G1 represents the group of the 6 people, and the blue dot is Mr. Miu, does that make sense to you?
Yes, I would say it's a little inaccurate, but okay. We were directly across the river, not behind them.
Okay. So I'd move this G2 up to here?
Correct.
Is that more accurate?
Yes.
The 6 dots over here, does that appear to be accurate? Again, you weren't documenting, but does it look like what you saw?
At what point? Because during my viewing, they were all still sitting in their tubes. It wasn't until after Madison had been struck that everyone got up out of their tubes.
Okay.
And Madison was running towards me. So at that point, I really didn't see that. I was watching the kids. I had lost
I'm going to go back
view
here
of them.
and just ask, I'm going to leave this up here.
Okay.
So is it your testimony that the 6, the other group, I'm going to call them the teenagers, The 6 teenagers, they stayed in their tube until Maddie came over there?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they were sitting in their tubes calling for help.
Okay. So your memory is 2 things. One is they were sitting in their tubes until Maddie came. Agreed?
Yes.
And your memory is that they were calling for help. Agreed?
Agreed.
And if the playing of that video contradicts that, would you agree your memory is wrong?
Yeah, I mean, if it contradicts it.
What you remember is that whatever you saw, it raised concerns that you wanted to make sure that something got de-escalated, correct?
Correct.
And so as a result of that, you told your 2 sons, Dante Carlson and Anthony Carlson, to go over there, correct?
Correct.
And I believe you spoke with the police about that, right?
Yes.
And what you told the police was, I was worried about that group of kids against one guy. I was worried that they were all going to gang up on him and something bad was going to happen to the old guy. Is that what you told the police?
Absolutely.
And the reason you told that to police is because that was what you were thinking. That was your actual worry, correct? Right?
I mean, that was my concern. And my concern was because he wasn't walking away. He was drunk and he was absolutely being aggressive to those kids. At one point, their tubes had wrapped around his legs, and he was just refusing to walk away from them, even though they were screaming for anyone on the river to help them.
Okay. Again, I appreciate that that's your memory. I want to unpack some of that. You said that it was your impression that Nicolae Miu was drunk, correct?
Yes.
And that was based upon your observation from 150 feet away for about 90 seconds?
Yes.
Okay. You don't actually know if he had consumed how much alcohol, do you?
Well, I've had a lot of experience observing drunk people.
Sure.
It certainly fit the bill.
Okay. But my question, sir, was you did not know if at all he had drank any alcohol. Agreed?
I didn't know, in fact, he had drank any alcohol.
Sure. What you saw is essentially him perhaps unsteady on his feet in the water, correct?
No.
Well, you couldn't smell him, agreed?
No.
And you didn't observe him drinking alcohol, agreed?
Agreed.
You couldn't hear him say anything, agreed?
Agreed.
You didn't hear him have slurred speech, agreed?
Agreed.
So whatever your conclusion was as to his drunkenness, it must have been based upon how you observed his body moving around. Agreed?
It was more his behavior.
Okay. And his behavior is your observations of his body moving around, correct?
Again, it wasn't because he was unsteady on his feet.
Okay.
It was the way he charged at the tubes. It was just the way he carried himself.
Okay. And again, this is all based upon your memory, right?
Yes.
All right. So you sent the boys over there because you didn't want an old man, I think as you said here, to get the brakes beat off of him, correct?
That is correct.
I think we've heard different expressions here. Maybe, would that be similar to get a beat down, correct?
Yes.
Or maybe some other people call it to get beat up. Would that be the same?
That would be the same.
And I think one witness called it getting his butt kicked. Same thing?
Fair.
Those are all kind of interchangeable terms?
The same thing.
All right. That's what you were worried about, right?
Yes.
And part of that was based upon the fact that you saw that he was one man and there were these 6 teenagers, correct?
No. I just thought it was because he was drunk.
Sure. Okay. Would you have been worried about one drunk man on the river if there was one teenager standing there?
I don't know if I would have or not.
Okay. The words that you used to the police was, I was worried that they were all going to gang up on him, correct?
I was.
And the reason that you used the word gang up on him is because you were concerned he was outnumbered. Agreed?
Again, that wasn't my thought process.
Okay. You just used the word.
Verdict! 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 Stop the clock! Stop the clock! Stop the clock, motherfucker! Oh, stop the clock! Hey! Oh, stop the clock, mother! Hey! Oh, stop the clock! Oh, let's go, motherfucker! It's time.
Isaac Schumann from there.
All right, we got to do a poll. Poll. I'm glad it didn't happen when I was leaving to go pick up the baby, because that happens sometimes. Right when I have to go, it's like, verdict! It's like, oh, fuck. Let's do a poll, man. What you guys think? Everybody wake up, get out of your couch, bed, sit up. Or just put your head up. Just kind of tilt your head a little. You don't have to sit up. They said we got a verdict. All right. So, the first option is guilty. Second option is guilty, lesser charge. And then the third option is not guilty. Y'all ready?
And they're going to debate that and redebate
Marsh, we got to cut you off. The judge is already on the bench.
Let's go, baby.
On the bench. Michael Waterman is in
Thank
court.
you, Sherry, for the super chat.
Defendant's there. He's now to the left, on the other side of Aaron Nelson.
Let's go, baby.
Left side of his defense attorney. The jury is coming in. A verdict has been reached. We should hear Nicolae Miu's fate in mere moments.
All right, please be seated. All right, we are back in session on the record in State of Wisconsin versus Nicolae Miu. The attorneys are present with Mr. Miu. 12 jurors are in the courtroom. Mr. Ashland, I understand you are the foreperson.
Correct.
Did your jury reach a verdict?
Yeah.
Did you reach a verdict on each of the 6 counts?
Yes, we did.
Okay, please hand the verdict forms to the bailiff.
Well, this is going to be. I think it should be not guilty. Just my opinion. I think it was reasonable doubt. Well, let's see. I don't know. Some people feel really strongly. There's a good portion of people say guilty, lesser charge. I feel like that's where the jury might go to, the lesser charge in between.
The verdicts read as follows. As to count 1 of the information, Isaac Schumann, the jury finds Nicolae Miu guilty of first-degree reckless homicide as submitted. Question, did Mr. Miu commit the crime while using a dangerous weapon? Answer, yes. As to count 2 of the information, Alexander Martin, the jury finds Nicolae Miu guilty of first-degree recklessly endangering safety as submitted. Did Mr. Miu commit the crime while using a dangerous weapon? Answer, yes.
Wow.
As to count 3 of the information, Dante Carlson, the jury finds Nicolae Miu guilty of first-degree recklessly endangering safety as submitted. Did Mr. Miu commit the crime while using a dangerous weapon? Answer, yes. As to count 4 of the information, Anthony Carlson, the jury finds Nicolae Miu guilty of first-degree recklessly endangering safety as submitted. Did Mr. Miu commit the crime while using a dangerous weapon? Answer, yes. As to count 5 of the information, Riley Madison, the jury finds Nicolae Miu guilty of first-degree recklessly endangering safety as submitted. Did Mr. Miu commit the crime while using a dangerous weapon? Answer, yes. As to count 6 of the information, Madison Cohen, the jury finds Nicolae Miu guilty of battery as charged. Did Mr. Miu commit the crime while using a dangerous weapon? Answer, yes. Members of the jury, I do have to verify that this is in fact a unanimous verdict.
Wow.
So I'm going to ask each of you if I correctly read the verdict and if you agree with it. So when I call your name, if you agree with the verdict that I read, please answer by saying yes. If you disagree with the verdict, you can answer by saying no. Ms. Navarro, do you agree with the verdict that I read?
Yes.
Mr. Cook, do you agree with the verdict that I read?
Yes.
Mr. Snell, do you agree with the verdict that I read?
Yes.
Ms. Belzil, do you agree with the verdict that I read?
Yes.
Mr. Wiley, do you agree with the verdict that I read?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp, do you agree with the verdict that I read?
Yes.
Mr. Diedrich, do you agree with the verdict that I read?
Yes.
Ms. McMahon, do you agree with the verdict that I read?
Yes.
Mr. Henderlong, do you agree with the verdict that I read?
Yes.
Mr. Ashland, do you agree with the verdict that I read?
Yes.
Ms. McMullen, do you agree with the verdict that I read?
Yes.
Ms. Lewandowski, do you agree with the verdict that I read?
Yes.
Any additional polling? No?
Wow.
It is a unanimous verdict. Members of the jury, your service in this case is completed. You are free to read accounts about this trial. You are free to talk about this case with anyone. However, you do not have to discuss this case with anybody or answer any questions about this case other than from the court. So this includes the parties, the lawyers, the media, or anybody else. If you do decide to discuss this case with anyone, please treat any such discussion with a degree of solemnity, such that whatever you would say, you'd be willing to say in front of your fellow jurors or here in open court. It is in the public interest that there be the utmost freedom of debate in the jury room, and that jurors be permitted to express their views without fear of incurring the anger of any litigants or the public. For that reason, please respect the privacy of the views of your fellow jurors. If you do decide to speak, please only speak for yourselves and not for anybody else.
Wow.
On behalf of my colleagues, Judges Needham, Vlack, and Nordstrand, along with my courtroom staff, thank you for your participation in this important case. Court is now adjourned. Please take the jury out.
All rise for the jury.
All aboard. So they had the option to give him second-degree reckless homicide. They gave him first-degree reckless homicide. He did get like the lesser charge. He could have got intentional homicide, which I was thinking there's no way they're gonna do. But the prosecution added in this whole reckless homicide thing, and that's where the jury went.
Please be
I wonder how much
seated.
time I can get for that.
Based on the unanimous verdict, I will enter convictions on each of the 6 counts. Bail is revoked. Mr. Miu will be held in custody pending sentencing. My staff will contact the attorneys and will schedule the sentencing date. I will order a pre-sentence investigation report, but we can do the scheduling at a later time. Is there anything else, Mr. Anderson?
No.
Mr. Schroffesi?
No, sir.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Court is adjourned.
Wow, I'm shocked. I guess I don't know. I was thinking that they were gonna go with a lesser charge. There's no way they're gonna go with the main charge, but I felt like it should have been not guilty based off the case. I think there was definitely reasonable doubt, but yeah, I guess not. Not for the jury. Mamma mia! How much time can this guy get now?
And good morning again. I am Paul Bloom, Fox 9 News, here as we approach 11:15 Central Time in our Fox 9 live streaming center. And that there is the camera going off on your screen. This case now closed.
Britt says first is the highest, not the lesser. Well, he could have got intentional homicide. So yeah, maybe not the lesser charge, but they didn't give him intentional homicide. He would have got intentional homicide. He got first-degree reckless homicide, which maybe there's not much difference. I wonder if there's a difference.
Guilty of lesser charges, so he escapes, obviously.
Oh, okay, that's what I think I am right, actually.
Up and down, I want to be careful with my verbiage, so he's found guilty up and down the number of counts he was facing for each of his victims there, but found guilty of lesser charges. So he escapes, obviously, for him, the life imprisonment, the top count of first-degree intentional homicide, second-degree intentional homicide.
Oh, so listen, I didn't know about this. So apparently even the second-degree intentional homicide would have been worse than the first-degree reckless homicide. And that's what it looks like to me. So he's avoiding a life sentence. I guess they're not doing sentencing today. I felt like this jury was probably going to go somewhere in the middle. But I would have thought not, they didn't prove beyond a reasonable doubt. But for this jury, they did at least this. And this is the extra charges that they added. So, again, this is the whole thing, too, nowadays where, if you're going to carry a weapon and you're thinking about defending yourself, it comes with a lot of responsibility. There comes a lot of shit with it,
But found guilty there, as you can see on your screen, first-degree reckless homicide. So that charge was what we would call lesser included, a lesser included charge of murder. The judge, Judge Waterman, part of these 30-page jury instructions we've been talking about the last couple days, was to go down the list of charges from the top. So the jury worked through that. They said it was not a first-degree intentional homicide case. They agreed unanimously, clearly. Then they went down to second degree. They look at the verbiage, the law around second-degree intentional homicide, his claims of self-defense. They found him not guilty. The third count underneath that was first-degree reckless homicide, and that is what they are convicting him on the top count. Similar situation, we don't have a full screen to show you, but on the stabbing victims, those who survived, they did not find guilty. They acquitted him on the top counts there of the first and second degree attempted intentional homicide, instead finding him guilty on charges of reckless endangerment, recklessly endangering safety. Marsh Hallberg, criminal
and I wonder, I wonder if this guy would have just like stabbed one person, right? How many kids got stabbed or slashed? Like 4 or 5. I wonder if let's say the one person was the guy that he killed. Would he have gotten away with this? You know, what are they? I wonder. I hope the jury maybe does. They might not. Maybe some interviews, like what the conversations that went on in that room. Was it because multiple people got slashed and cut and stuff like that?
Victims, those who survived, they did not find guilty. They acquitted him on the top counts there of the first and second degree attempted intentional homicide.
Well, and he was drinking too. See, that's a thing too. I don't know how much alcohol he had. The kids were drinking too.
Instead finding him guilty on charges of reckless endangerment, recklessly endangering safety. Marsh Hallberg, criminal defense attorney. Hallberg Criminal Defense has been with us all morning a couple times during this trial. I know we talked about that. Reckless seemed to be, the sweet spot, if you will, in this case.
I had a feeling, I don't know, it's like human nature too. I just felt like these people were going to go for like the middle ground type of shit. So I was like, I feel like it should have been not guilty, at the very least, based on they didn't meet the reasonable doubt, like that, beyond reasonable doubt. But I just feel like people, even when you do polls, they just pick the middle shit, like the middle ground. They don't want to have to it is a decision, but they don't want to. That way they can kind of please both sides. You can kind of please like the victims and also this person we're not so sure, well, he's going to serve some time because he killed somebody type of shit.
I'm a bit surprised in the timing, given the jury, it only spent half a day yesterday, the morning today. I thought if they were coming back this quickly, it would be more of a self-defense finding. But maybe we were right. That reckless count, just given the totality of the circumstances out there, they felt that was the most appropriate for Miu's actions.
O.J. Simpson has passed away, guys. Yeah, cancer.
I think at the risk of sounding modest, right, I think we kind of had a pretty good read on this. We watched the whole trial, and they quickly knocked out that intentional homicide. So they must have done that very quickly. Just conceptually said, is there anybody here that thinks he intentionally was trying to kill these people? And they knocked that out quickly, and then were able to focus on the second half. It's kind of interesting. I don't think I missed anything just now, but I'm used to a jury, when juries return verdicts, that we read all the counts and each one, not guilty, not guilty, not guilty. Then you get to the guilties. So here it appears they just only read, in Wisconsin, the guilty forms, and they just presume that the others are not guilty because they didn't address them at all. So big difference. The problem we have is you start to get into some really complicated sentencing issues that are now going to come up because you've got separate victims, and so you get in this concept of same behavioral act. That is, that there was one incident that happened in the river that day within 25 seconds, but there are separate, each one's a separate victim. So you get into the arguments about how the sentences increase because of more than one victim. Do they run concurrent? Do they run consecutive? Are there enhancements that happen, just an aggravating factor of more than one person being hurt? All of those types of things can be considered.
And Marsh, I'm going to cut you off there. I have more questions. I just want to point out now for our streaming viewers and those of our Fox 9 loyal viewers who are watching our 11 a.m. coverage, I am told now we are simulcasting, we are live streaming and broadcasting in both locations now. So thank you all. Let's reset this case then for everybody to understand what's just happened in the last few minutes. Nicolae Miu, Prior Lake, 54 years old. He has been jailed ever since the July 30th, 2022 encounter on the river with those tubers. 7 days worth of trial, 2 days, if you will, worth of jury deliberations.
Under and over it says, okay, it says first degree reckless homicide and second degree intentional homicide. Or sorry, second degree intentional. Sorry, let me read that again. First degree reckless homicide and second degree intentional is up to 40 years prison plus 20 parole. First degree intentional would have been life imprisonment. Ah, okay. He's pretty much still getting a life sentence. He's over 50, right? I mean, he's almost getting pretty much a life. His life is done, pretty much.
Nicolae Miu found guilty up and down the charges he faced. But I do want to point out,
unless he gets an appeal, you
have to be very careful with our verbiage. He was not found guilty. He was acquitted on the top counts. One of those top counts.
That's. It's kind of like they're saying he's not found guilty, but he's guilty. What?
He was not found guilty. He was acquitted on the top counts. One of those top counts was first-degree intentional homicide. A conviction there would have sent him to prison for life. You just heard Marsh Hallberg, criminal defense attorney, Hallberg Criminal Defense here in the Twin Cities. He's helping us analyze the fallout, the case. Obviously, Miu now found guilty on 6 separate charges involving 6 victims. There's now a 6th victim, if you will. That is Madison Cohen, the blonde woman, if you followed our trial.
So yeah, not guilty of intentional homicide, not guilty of second degree intentional homicide, but he was found guilty of reckless homicide. Okay.
There is a count of battery that he was found guilty of, and here on your screen are the most significant charges. Again, we have to reiterate, the jury found that this was not an intentional act to kill and injure, but rather a reckless homicide. And with that, Marsh, let me get your opinion again. We talked about the difference between intentional and reckless homicide. I'm thinking of some of the circumstances in this case, the subtle nature by which he pulls out the knife, the fact that he doesn't leave, the fact that he doesn't take a step or two back and hold up the knife. I know legally he doesn't have to do that, but I just think real world, that jury looked at his actions in that, even if you narrow it down to 30 seconds on that cell phone video, his behaviors in there, they thought criminal, not self-defense.
Right. I mean, you piece together all those little things that I thought the state did a good job of tying together, especially on their second closing, when they came back up after the defense, that those little things all add up to give you proof beyond a reasonable doubt, is their argument. That originally Miu approaches them, that he doesn't back off. He has a lot of opportunities to go other locations. I think that knife location ended up being one of those little details that was important to everybody. The fact that he opened it without even looking down, because that would have caused jurors to also look down to have seen it. He never brandished it, never said back off, and that he overreacted, right? That he just kind of freaked out in the moment. And as we talked about, you can form intent in a second. I can decide to kill somebody in just a moment. I don't need to plan for it for days or weeks to make that happen. So you can be found guilty of intentional first-degree homicide when you act just in the moment. But here they're just saying there was never intent to do that. He wanted to get him to get out of his space, to move away, and that there was never an intent to actually kill anybody.
You just feel, Marsh, you just think about all the circumstances.
It's a lot to think about, man. It's about, I'm telling you, I mean, like we're talking about the crazy times and all the crazy things that are going on, and you need to protect yourself. But you see these situations, you go to an outing or something like that, and it's very easy for things to get out of control. And this is what my concealed guy was telling me, that can you afford to find yourself in a situation like this? That guy told me, if you're carrying some shit, try to avoid. Do everything you can to avoid. I mean, unless it's like very like imminent, you have no choice. Try to avoid because this shit will fuck up your life, including the person that's deceased, of course, and victims and stuff like that. And just look at the turnout for this. You know,
that led to that moment.
And I agree that I don't think there was intention to kill. I guess that's why they did the lesser charge. I don't think he had an intention to kill. I think, and man, later I'll have to see some of the attorneys probably react to this. I think it's him slicing so many people, cutting so many people, and lying. Even though I think these people lied on the stand too. Lying and like hiding the weapon and lying during their interrogation and in the cop car, you know.
In the river, the lost cell phone, Miu sort of oddly, if you will, donning goggles and snorkel to search for the phone in 6-inch, 10-inch depth of water. The initial encounter with the boys, their behavior is not to be excused that day. I mean, tragically, they lost a dear friend, a young man with a bright future by all accounts, Isaac Schumann. As that confrontation kind of gets ginned up between Miu and the teenage boys, you have that other group of tubers, the 20-somethings or so that are drinking, that think they're just going over to play peacemaker and trying to separate the old man, if you will, from the young boys who are kind of out of control, shooting their videos and stuff. And that's, in the end, that scenario, those in particular Madison Cohen and Riley Madison coming over to sort of get in between Nicolae Miu and the boys, it would escalate from there. And Miu, I mean, no one's saying he shouldn't have had a knife that day on
Legendary.
the tube, on the
man.
river. As we learned, it's used to cut string, cut rope. It's a tool you would have on the river. That all of a sudden, in his mind, he did fear for his life and for his safety. But this jury just said,
thank you.
Miu,
Next lawyer speaking. All right, let's see. Let's fast forward. I was a little behind because we were kind of talking. Thank you for that information. Here we go.
Agree.
Is that thing? I'm going to be interrupted here. I'm being told that one of Nicolae Miu's defense attorneys is at the podium. Let's listen in to Zarin Nelson.
We obviously, disagree. So with deep sadness.
How's Nicolae doing? What was his reaction to how everything worked out?
He's, I thought, showed appropriate emotion throughout. He's had a deep sadness, and as he said on the initial tape to the police, he said, he was sorry. I know when this case first started and there was talks about what we could do to help alleviate some of the stress and pain that other people were feeling, we did what we could in that moment, and I think that was a large part because Nick wanted to take the lead on that, and so he continues to feel those feelings. He's sad, obviously disappointed in the result, and contemplating his future life.
Did he tell you anything?
I told us lots of things.
Can you share?
Shared what I wanted.
Okay. Mr. Nelson, these charges were added on at the end. That's something the public's, that aren't used to trials may not.
Yeah, that's interesting. At the end, they added these charges.
As well as what kind of penalties he could be facing now in this sentence.
Yeah. So he was originally charged with intentional crimes. By deduction, it seems like he was found. They couldn't agree on the intentional crimes, so they moved on to the reckless, and that's what he was charged with. Reckless crimes are a lesser included offense of the intentional crimes. There's still substantial, life-changing penalties that he faces.
What was your thoughts coming into today when you walked in the courthouse? Did you feel good about the case?
We felt like we had a good case. We felt like we had a good defense. We felt like we put on a good defense. But in many ways, self-defense is a community standard, and it's very dependent upon which group of 12 people within the community you ask. I understand and appreciate that. We had a lot of complex feelings going in. We felt confident, but we're also aware that it's not math. It's not black and white. It's a community standard.
Were you expecting a verdict today when you walked in? Did you think it
no real expectations, whatever, with juries are unpredictable, so. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Wow. Wow.
And those who might not have watched our ongoing gavel-to-gavel coverage, that is Aaron Nelson, Nicolae Miu's lead defense counsel. Obviously, saying there they disagree with the verdict. It is with deep sadness, though, that they accept. Again, we're trying to process this all. Wisconsin, not necessarily a state we deal with every day in terms of the fallout, given the guilty verdicts here on the prison potential for Mr. Miu. He is being jailed until sentencing. I will point out he has been jailed since July 30th, 2022. So he has been in custody at the county jail there in Hudson, Wisconsin since. He will remain there until sentencing. But the way Aaron Nelson described it is significant, life-changing amounts of time ahead for Miu in prison. And before I toss it out to my colleague Rob Olson at the courthouse, I do just want to point out one other thing. He said, Aaron Nelson describing self-defense as a, quote, community standard, meaning what do others need to weigh in and process whether it was self-defense. Miu and his legal team clearly believe what happened that day was an act of self-defense. Pulling out the knife and stabbing the 5 others was meant to save his own life and protect himself. But clearly 12 residents of St. Croix County said no, what happened there was criminal. With that, Rob Olson has been at this trial throughout on the ground at the St. Croix County Courthouse. He is outside now. Rob, take me inside the courtroom at the time of this verdict.
At the time of the verdict,
inside that neighborhood there, and you can see it. We're going to try to keep it the best we can. That vehicle is going to give up before the driver. Again, this is all over the driver of that vehicle, believed to be wanted for a suspected homicide. Ooh. That vehicle also stolen.
Murder suspect. I wonder if I should start a new stream. Let me see. It looks like it might be over already, though. Let's see. They're gone. Oh, come on, Stu.
Yes, that vehicle actually hit. That vehicle actually hit a couple of other things before we went live. So there's definitely going to be damage to the front of that car. There's no doubt about it. The fact that that car is still even driving is just, it's sad in a way, because you just want to see this thing come to an end, that person go into custody, and nobody else get injured. But that driver deciding to continue to push it out there, making his way.
Wow.
This is going to be westbound on I'm going to actually bring up that information for you right there. It's going to be westbound on Slauson, coming up on Western. Let's see if he's going to try. He's still continuing.
I'm going to switch, guys.
So he's going to continue on westbound as this pursuit's going to make its way away from us
right now.
We're definitely going to keep an eye on it, keep an ear on it, and do what we can to get the shot for you, as it would be. Bringing up that information. We're going to bring up that speedometer as well. But right now, the speedometer probably not going to be that good